let's just get this started in a second. You know, the usual. Let's give a couple minutes to let people get in. Let's load our most recent save. Alright then, hopefully audio levels are good, things are going bad. Well, we'll see how this goes. Ooh, horses. Ah, that's a bit louder than I expected. Alright, just gotta change it for myself. Hopefully it's good for everyone in chat. Oh, okay. As usual, I'm a complete and awkward mess while waiting for everyone else to join. Yep. As a streamer, maybe I should be better at, like, you know, holding a conversation by myself, keeping it interesting. Maybe. Alright. It had been several days since I left the capital, and I could still see it when I closed my eyes. The people lined up on the Grand Pont, awaiting entry, eager to start a new life there, brimming with hope. It was a city people were willing to pay high taxes to live in. If you were a performer, you could get some of those costs saved down a bit by putting those skills to use. The capital was harsh on those who wanted in, and apathetic about all who left. It was composed of powerful nobility and clergy, wealthy merchants and bankers, and a large population of poor. And it was the city I called home for a long time. I didn't know much about where I was heading. It's getting foggy. Looks like it might rain. Maybe we should take a little break. You want to keep going? Oh, alright then. No. Oh my god, that fucking Lotus track. It's the best. The coachman was frustratingly taciturn. He acted as though he'd gotten stuck transporting a prisoner. So that was hardly a stretch. From his point of view, I was nothing more than a criminal. Even though at times he would acknowledge I had said a thing, he made no effort to hide the scorn in his eyes, to pretend he didn't regret ever taking this job. And I would just fall silent again. The road was gradually getting narrow. We had long since left the paved city roads behind, and were now traveling along a couple worn-down grooves in the forest. How did I end up here? Why was I being subjected to this? I was done thinking about it. The more I thought on it, the less fair it seemed. The more I remembered, the worse it hurt. All I could do anymore was close my eyes and weather the storm. Deep within the dense woods, a mansion appeared before us, like the world fading into view after a dream. It didn't seem to be an especially large house, but had obviously been constructed with a great deal of care, and it was thankfully not standing in ruins. This deep in the forest? The carriage came to a stop and the coachman climbed down, signaling me with his chin for me to get out. Thank you. Very much. You must be tired after such a long journey. This is the mansion I'm looking for, yes? But the driver didn't even acknowledge me. Getting back into the carriage and setting off into the forest. He seemed to want to get as far away from here as quickly as possible. He could have said something. Oh well. That's about all I could say anyway. Oh well. I couldn't blame anyone for my being here, or for his wanting to get out. I should get going, I guess. Getting a better look at it, the house's windows were strangely enough all shuttered. It's probably dark as pitch inside. Does no one live here? But if that's the case, then why was I? I placed my hand on the front door. Such a big door. What if I couldn't get in? I had no idea what else there was in there yet. If the door didn't open, then I would die out here in the forest. I've come to accept much, but I was not ready to forfeit my life yet. Please open. It's not locked, I guess. It's not locked. The door was heavy, and though it seemed to protest my attempt to enter, it still opened much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. Looking in, I got the strangest impression that light was being swallowed up into the mansion's depth. Rather than going inside, it felt as though I was but to step outside the boundaries of this world. When I closed the door, it was so dark I couldn't even tell where I was walking. I wonder if the window is open. I managed to fumble my way over to the window. It was tightly shuttered and caked in rust. I was probably not getting it open without a fight. Darn, not a hint of light. I couldn't even see my hand waving in front of my face. It felt as though the floor would fall out from under me, and I would sink into eternal darkness if I didn't watch my step. Heading back up here, I slowly walked forward, tracing the wall with my hand. There was a door at the end of the long corridor. I pulled it open and a wisp of bone-chilling air brushed past me. It was too dark to see anything, but I could feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness gripped me. Hello, is anyone there? Please don't tell me it's actually abandoned. I suppose I can't know without looking around a bit more. The voice simply disappeared into the void. No response. And as I pushed forward through the freezing air, for a split second, I spotted a shimmer of light. Squinting my eyes, I was able to make out a large window. Unlike the others, it wasn't shuttered. What do we have here? Drapes? I see a little light beyond. My chances were slim, I imagine, but if there was even a slight possibility of getting some light in here, it was worth a shot. Open the drapes. So I pulled open the drapes. The next moment, faint but colorful light shone down upon me. It was a stained glass window. From beyond the glass, I could hear the subtle pitter-patter of rain. It had finally started, it seemed. The different colors of light blending into a milky white, dim but wondrous. It's so pretty. It looks like an angel. Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. Or the windows. Suddenly I heard a voice and I could sense someone else in the room. The man's voice was emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long he came into view, illuminated by dull orange candlelight. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but I didn't ask myself. The man stood there, practically blending into the darkness. Had he been there the whole time? He was staring straight at me. His gaze wavered slightly, but not enough for me to read anything in it. Then again, I could hardly make out any details at all under the light of a single candle. And this, your mansion? It is. Thank goodness, I was afraid it was deserted. I suspect you would have preferred it if the house were abandoned. Oh, not at all. I'd be scared to death staying in this dark mansion all by myself. I'm sorry. No ill will intended. But I do think it could do with some light. That way you could see where you were walking. I'm sure this room would look splendid illuminated. Not necessary. I make you perfectly well as things are. How can you see when it's so dark? I have an abundance of candles and oil for lamps. I'm not in want of means of getting light. It's not your place to criticize my lifestyle. If you need light, you're free to leave. If you are in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. There's a village not far from here. Trade for food and then make your way to a larger town. I'm no longer able to freely return to the city. I cannot go back there. Please don't chase me now. I see. And do you ask me this how do people refer to this mansion? They say that a witch lives here. Not merely a witch. A cursed witch. If you remain here, you too shall likely suffer your own destruction. You're worried for my well-being? Witch or not, my mind is made up. I was sent to this cursed witch's mansion to atone for my transgressions back in the city. It didn't matter what lived here, I had no choice. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Regret or the curse? You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real, very much so. It's not a legend or a fairy. The witch's name was Morgana. Is me. Huh, that's a very different response. Yes, that was our first encounter. It was nothing flowery or dramatic. It was rather laced with suspicion and wariness. We knew nothing about one another, and I had no interest in changing that. But nonetheless, that was where it all began, where my history with her commenced. The woman had jade eyes. Open wide, they glimmered like jewels in the light shining through the stained glass window. She seemed to be at a loss for words. I wasn't lying, per se. The rumor said a witch lived in this house. I was the only one who filled that criteria. Thus, said rumors could be interpreted to be talking about me. After staring at me dumbfounded for a few moments, the woman suddenly burst into laughter. Oh, wow. Here I was thinking you were kind of scary. It turns out you're actually quite funny. What? I never would have guessed you were someone to tell such a ridiculous joke with a straight face. I wasn't. You don't look at all like a witch. I mean, it's dark and I can't really see. But you seem to be like a rather handsome one. The word witch has a broader meaning than just a woman who practices magic. Any unholy person with cursed powers, man or woman, can be considered a witch. I think I get what you're trying to say, but my mental image of a witch is definitely more of a woman. So you're not a witch. To tell you the truth, I didn't know who might be here, which had me rather scared. But I think I can make this work. What do you... It's a pleasure to meet you, Master. Master? I was sent here from your old home. I was Abigail for your mother, but, well, I might have made a little goof. I froze the moment the word left her. Home. It rattled around in my skull, shaking up terrible memories that almost brought me to my knees. Why, after all these years, were they reaching out to me now? Hello, Evie! We are indeed, it is Raining Out Gothic Romance story time! And, our lovely Giselle and Michel are meeting in the mansion for now, and we've had a little bit going. It's just the slightest bit difference. She's an Abigail from his home who made some sort of goof and it has been sent to the mansion. Goof in her word. Also, we get it is not your place to criticize my lifestyle, Michelle, which is strangely dickish. It's in Morel. She was carried by a carriage and taken to the house instead. Yeah, and there's just a certainness about it that's different. It had been several days since I left the capital. I could see when I closed my eyes, the people lined up at the Grand Pond, awaiting entry, eager to start a new life there bringing hope. In the city, people were willing to pay high taxes to live in. If you were a performer, you could get someone's cost shaved down a bit by being skills of youth. The capital was harsh on who wanted in, and apathetic about all who left. It was composed of powerful nobility and clergy, wealthy merchants and bankers, and a large population of poor. You know, the city I'd called home for a long time. It's very much less vague about things. And we get this from Michelle, which I froze the moment the word left her mouth. Home. It rattled around in my skull, shaking up terrible memories, and almost brought me to my knees. Why, after all these years, were they reaching out to me now? Why, after all these, would they reach out to me now? And not that I even sent someone to bring me back, just sending someone else. To what end? For what purpose had they shifted Abigail out to this remote mansion? What was my mother thinking? Was this another one of her attempts to break my curse? What do you mean, he made a little goof? My voice came out weak. I did my best not to let it show on my face. It was a teensy tiny mistake. Nothing you need to concern yourself with. What did Mother say about me? Well, it was actually your father who told me to come here. I never really spoke to your mother much. Father sent you? That made even less sense. Why would he have... Did Father even know I was here? No, if he had known, I would have been... Who was this woman? And what was her goal in asking to stay here? Well, there you have it. I'll be here for a while. Oh, I should change something for this. Where do I go to change the stream titles? Oh no, I don't know where to go for that. No. There's gonna be some content warnings here is what I should really be saying. This chapter has some stuff that deals with sexual assault and violence, and yeah, it's not great. And I'll probably reiterate that at some point again, if more people show. Well, there you have it. I'll be here for a while. If you need me for anything, don't hesitate to speak up. I'm confident I can handle most everyday tasks. Now, where should I begin? Oh, I know. Are you hungry, Master? Food? I can't imagine you eat much, being as skinny as you are. I turned my back on her without responding. No matter what her goal was, she had been sent from that house. There was no way anything good could have come from there. There was no way I could live with someone who had ties to them. I prayed she would take the hint, give up and leave. Master. So I kept ignoring her. Master. I ignored. Master. I ignored her. Master, what would you like for supper? Nothing! But failed, spinning back and shouting. Her eyes went wide and she gave a sheepish giggle. I glared at her as she fidgeted uncomfortably. Eating's one of the most basic human needs, so if you're hungry, you should really eat. I said I didn't want... What was that sound? Must you ask? That's not a very polite thing to ask a lady. Huh? It was a long trip, and all I had to eat on the road was dried fruit. Felt like it was some kind of animal. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm hungry. That wasn't the sound of her stomach growling, was it? I thought lightning had struck in the distance. And would like some supper. The kitchen is at the far end of the hall on the first floor. There's food in the cellar. Help yourself to any of it. Thank you so much. I honestly feel like I haven't eaten in days and I'm about to die of starvation. Oh, and I shouldn't need any help finding it. I plan on exploring the house anyway. It's rather exciting being in a new place. Damn it, that did not go as planned. Oh well, she can do as she pleases. I'll have nothing to do with it. Oh, Master, are you sure you don't? No. Master, what is it now? My name is Giselle. It's a pleasure to meet you. You know? And your name, Master? Oh, Master, you. I actually left the room that time, making my way back to my chambers. And at some point I would seriously have to chase her out. Especially considering she had come from that house. Regardless, I was not terribly fond of her. I didn't really understand Michel, but that was probably because we were still essentially strangers. Having been sent to the mansion as reparation for my mistakes, I wasn't sure who I might find there. But I was tentatively convinced he wasn't a terrible person. He didn't do anything to me except stay away. Michel spent most of his time in his chambers, which he had told me to never enter under any circumstances. So we rarely encountered one another in the halls. For that reason, I made an effort to be kind and cheerful on the sporadic occasions we did cross paths. I figured if he kept that up long enough, he would eventually warm up to me. And as new housemates, being able to enjoy our time together was obviously preferable to the alternative. If I did manage to break the ice, I hoped we would be able to do some talking about the mansion, about him, about me. I just had to keep working at it. Michel didn't need me to take care of him. He handled his day-to-day needs and activities by himself. In fact, he didn't ask me for anything. An aristocrat had no use for a servant. I hadn't met anyone like him before. Alright then. That meant all I could do was clean. Wasn't sure how his room looked, but the rest of the house was quite frankly an absolute disaster. Dust was so heavy it was obvious I hadn't touched in years. Let's get started. Couldn't be healthy to live in these conditions, so I set out to clean each room in the house one by one. That said, it wasn't going to be an easy task. Not because I was bad at cleaning, in fact I considered myself quite good at it, but because it was near impossible to find all the dust and grime that needed cleaning under the flickering light of a candle. I can't understand how anyone sane can live in this dark. What's wrong with him? Maybe he's actually a vampire. Oh god, wouldn't that be something? I can see it now, him sneaking out every night to suck the blood of pretty girls. Priceless. Oh, that means I'm in trouble. Look at me, Miss One-Woman Comedy Show here. Yup. I'm the funniest. I could totally be a VTuber. If I am able to get him to warm up to me though, maybe that'll give me a little more room to make some changes. Like opening some of these windows. No light and no fresh air? No, thank you. Anyway, I set the candlestick down and pulled over a chair to stand on and started wiping down the shower. The chair's legs seemed to be uneven, as it wobbled slightly beneath me. So many books. I wonder, do they all belong to him? A new parchment was expensive, so it was rather astonishing seeing this many stacks of it in one place. There were even some books with bulky, extravagantly decorated covers. He does come from an esteemed family. I'd spent enough time at his family's home. There was a constant bustle of servants and guests, the exact opposite of what this mansion was like. Why had he left his home? What had he done to be sent all the way out here, to this remote mansion with less than savory reputation? I need to be careful not to overstep my bounds. I'm a servant now. A servant. But once the thought had crossed my mind, I couldn't get it out. I'd always had bad tendency to chase my curiosities as soon as they struck, pushing to scratch that itch no matter how much my actions annoyed others. I couldn't do that here, though. I was simply a servant, and if I got on Michel's bad side, I was getting thrown out. So I wonder what kind of books he's got in him. So I attempted to distract myself. I grabbed one of the books and attempted to pull it out. What? But the strings binding the parchment must have got tangled in the back. Whoa. Because the books on the either side tilted backward. Ah! And then the entire row came crashing down on top of me. Ow! For Christ's sake! I had fallen off the chair and a downpour of books was still coming down on me, with a mountain of dust on it. Seriously? Oh! What are you doing? What? Suddenly Michel was there, looking down at me from a little ways away. There was, as usual, not much I could read from his expression, but I could hear a vague trace of exasperation in his voice. I was doing some cleaning and impressive work. I'm usually better than this. It's just so dark. Mistakes should be expected. I really think we should open some windows, Master. Get some light, some air flowing through. I never asked you to clean anything. You did this entirely yourself. But there's so much dust. It can't be good for you. I am perfectly healthy, and I don't see a problem. Had he even seen himself? No way someone that skinny was perfectly healthy. You look like he has something to say. He can make out my face in this darkness. You know, I want to be useful. Cleaning is about all I can do here, so, you know. I was sensing something else, but alright. Without a sigh, stepped over toward the pile of books, and then reached his hand down for me. Ah, I suddenly felt a pang of embarrassment about the fact that I was still splayed out on the floor. But I raised my hand up to take it, only for him to pick up a book instead. You could at least help me up. You have legs, he said, casually returning the book to the top shelf. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he was a terrible person. So, Master, are all these books yours? Giselle asked, now a trace of remorse visible on her face, despite having made mass use publicly trying to clean. I gave a curt nod. Really, that's impressive. Must have been hard work getting them all in here, huh? There's gotta be 100 books in here. You could fill a whole carriage at least. It's like you got your own personal library. She'd been pouting only a few moments earlier, but her smile was back in short order. Her jade eyes were like little balls of curiosity glittering in the faint candlelight. I was not particularly fond of overly expressive, rather overly curious women. Did they not care that they trampled uninvited into other people's personal spaces? Or were they not even aware that their actions were invasive? I averted my gaze from hers. I receive one roughly every month. Ah, I see. Wait. She turned back toward the shelf. I presume she understood the implications of what I just said. The fact that there were nearly 100 chums here, I received only one a month. Giselle fell silent. I couldn't blame her if she thought my circumstances or my family or my life bizarre. But I didn't care what she thought of me. In fact, it was to my advantage for her to be uncomfortable. I just needed her to stay quiet and keep her nose out of my business. There's more than I thought. I said not to her, but to myself. I had no reason to count the passage of time anymore. Only the book served as a record of how long I'd been here. 121. What? There are 121 books. 10 years in 1 month. You were counting? I thought she had just sheepishly gone quiet. What an inscrutable woman. You've been here in this mansion for that long? All by yourself? The truth was, there had been times when I wasn't alone. But Giselle had no need to know that. You already know the answer. A look of pity formed in Giselle's eyes. No, I never asked for her sympathy. I'm here by choice. You mean you weren't banished? Yeah. No restraint, this woman. No, I came here of my own volition. I didn't care enough to elaborate. Picking another book off the floor, I brushed the dust off its cover. It was gaudily decorated tome. That's a very fancy book, isn't it? But apparently Giselle was unable to take a hint. What's it about? I let a sigh, opened to a page, no page in particular, sticking the book out toward her. She was a servant, and a woman. There's no way she could read. Let's see here. This land is hardly suitable for cultivation. It can only produce over-sour grapes. I'd probably get more out of it tore down the fields and made it into a market. Sounds like a lord's diary. You can read? I was caught slightly off guard. It's rare for a noble woman to be able to read and write, let alone a servant. Was she truly what she claimed to be? I had someone teach me. So is this book any interesting? It's a dull, worthless tripe. I can't imagine why anyone thought it was worth binding. Tough crowd. But it's not very often you get to see a lord's diary. I'm rather curious what kind of things he griped about. Lord or king, what value is there in another's grumblings? There's no knowledge contained within that book. Just emotions. Unsightly scribbles. And there's nothing more exhausting in the world than being emotional. If you want to read it, be my guest. That wasn't my intention, but alright. Once I got the whole mansion cleaned, I'll read it. I told you, you don't have to clean. By the way, anyone in chat, how do you guys feel about the differences between this, with the start of the fifth door and what was happening in the fourth? Because the fourth was the fake version of this own story, sanitized and idealized, you know. Oh, I've got an idea, Master. If you're interested, maybe we could read together. Did you hear a word I just said? It's dull, worthless, trite. Still, you might see it differently if you read it with someone else. And I'm sure there are some books here you would enjoy, Master. You're wasting your time. The suspicion and restraint budding between us was trite and insignificant at that point. She was still smiling after all. If I had been able to maintain that distance, then perhaps I wouldn't have ended up hurting her. Michelle's very dickish and has a lot of opinions that are kind of terrible. And it had been a little under 2 weeks since I had moved in with Michelle. Though we lived in the same house, we rarely saw each other. On unlucky days, I wouldn't see him at all. I wasn't sure if he ate in his room or our schedules were simply misaligned, but we never had any meals together. Perhaps he was deliberately avoiding me. That has to be it. I know servant and master don't usually get to see the same table, but even so, he'd be a little less obvious about it. Am I really that much of a nuisance? I'm not doing anything inappropriate, am I? I'm being pleasant and sociable, aren't I? And Giselle's super self-conscious, actually. I haven't given any reason not to like me, I think. I hope. He had never been very enthusiastic about my staying here, but I hadn't been given a choice. I'd been sent here by his family. Besides, now, how about the negative thoughts? Gotta stay positive. Yeah, he hasn't tried to chase me out. I just haven't broken the ice. I had to stay positive, optimistic, happy thoughts, and be myself. As long as I kept working at it, with enough time, Michelle would sort of come around and not be so distant. I've got a goal, so let's get to work. First I make supper, then ask him to have it. Gotta be proactive when it comes to those reclusive times. Alright, here goes. Or here would go, but we're almost out of supplies. Well, so much for that. The cellar was where non-perishable food was stored. Dried foods, smoked meats, cheeses, and a small scattering of root vegetables. Looking at this makes me feel like a soldier holding down a castle's fortifications. Had Michelle really gone 10 years on nothing but this? I would have raised the white flag long ago. He said he hadn't left the mansion at all in those 10 years. I assume he at least goes out to get supplies, right? Running out of food is kind of a life or death now. I can't believe he hasn't set foot outside even once. What are you babbling on about? Oh no, he overheard me. Assumed you were talking to someone. Huh? Does anyone else live here, Master? I haven't seen anyone. It is just the two of us. Alive, anyway. You mean there are ghosts? Something of the sort. Yeah, there you go, him with the jokes. I'm not a child, you're not gonna trick me like that. There are adults who believe in such things. I suppose, but I don't really believe in ghosts or demons or curses or any of that. The church just tries to convince people they're real so they can squeeze more money out of them. Am I going to have to turn you over to the church, you blasphemer? Oh, no. I pray every day, honest. I don't particularly care either way. I'm returning to my chambers. Well, already? You didn't, come down for food? I only came down because I heard voices. A moment, please, just wait a second. What? Our stores are almost empty. What do you normally do when you need more food? I'll happily accompany you on a trip to the market. Alrighty, that was fast. There are two of us. I really don't eat that much, do I? In the dim light, it was difficult to make out Michel's expression, but I thought I could see a tinge of annoyance on his face. Hold your ground, Giselle. You said you wanted to get closer then. Is that a parsnip? Michel was holding a tangled ball of roots. The reason I asked was because the parsnip was on the verge of total decomposition. See, there's still food. He then handed it to me. What? Wait, you want to eat that? It's clearly seen better days. You're gonna get sick. Or you tell me you can survive on rotting vegetables. Of course I won't eat it. I just figured you were hardy enough to survive. What do you think I am? No, he definitely is a jerk. Or that the resulting diarrhea might reduce your appetite. You're kidding, right? You can't be serious. Anyway, we should bury that outside. Then we can go purchase fresh supplies. I told you I don't go outside. Then how do you? Huh, visitor? Who could it be? Perfect timing. You're a servant, make yourself useful and go retrieve that package. If it's not delivery but a wanderer, chase them off. What package? Master. Hold on a second. What are you talking about? He's gone. What kind of delivery is he expecting? Michel stood there, unmoving, veiled in shadow. He glanced over at me, then threw his gaze to the front door. At his command, I raised the bar, pulling open the door. After nearly 2 weeks inside, the light from the setting sun almost blinded me. The world went white, my head pounding. After a few moments of intense blinking, my eyes acclimated themselves to the evening sunlight. There was no one outside, only a crate easily large enough to fit a child. Is this the package? Master? I turned back to face Michel, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. It seemed more like he was avoiding looking at the light than at me. He started to seem more and more like a vampire. Not that I believe in vampires, of course. Regardless, I pray there's nothing bad in here. God damn, that's heavy. Master, could I get some help? Gee, thanks. I am a servant, admittedly, but there's a lot to ask of just one help. A little help would sure be nice. Once it's inside, close and bar the door. He said dispassionately, his head still turned toward the darkness. As you wish, Master. Once the door was shut, I found myself sucked back towards the darkness. It hadn't even been 2 weeks, but the lack of light was beginning to become my normal. The outside world growing further and further away. Being holed up in here is definitely not good for me. I should go for a walk sometime, maybe plant some flowers or vegetables. Yeah, I like that idea. Maybe I can grow that old tangled roots into some fresh parsnips. What else do we have to plant? It'd be great if there were some flower seeds. What are you doing? Open the box now. As you wish, Master. Oh, there's food inside. In the box was a burlap snack filled with berries, fruit, vegetables, and smoked meats, as well as an assortment of bread, fruits, and wine. Aside from the fruit and bread, everything else was the same as what Michel kept in the cellar. And buried beneath the burlap sack was a single book. 1 book a month. He really hasn't gone outside in 10 years. It appears you have begun to grasp the situation. Yeah, but why? This was delivered by someone from your house, Master, wasn't it? A servant, I assume. Why would they leave without saying anything? No one wants to talk to a cursed man. In the past, they would occasionally check in on me, but that hasn't happened recently. They think you're cursed? Alright, you don't believe in curses. Then come up with your own explanation. An excuse for them to want to stay away from me. That, for example, I killed someone. Or maybe that I'm insane. I couldn't... Regardless, I'm not normal. Bring the food down to the cellar. The book to the library. You are, of course, free to refuse and run back into the woods. I'll do it. Alright, then you take care of that. Hey, what is it? I just noticed there's something else in it. It's wrapped in a cloth. What could it be? Ooh, a painting. For you to hang up somewhere in the house, I presume. It's so dark I can't see it very well, but I'm sure it's... Don't touch that! What? Michel, who had kept his distance from me up until that point, suddenly marched over and ripped the painting from my gasps. My master? His face twisted into a look I'd never seen him make before. Was it indignation, disgust, hatred, panic? I couldn't tell, but there's more than enough negative pressure to cause me to flinch back. Is that painting perhaps something important? A landscape painting, he muttered under his breath, the tension melting away from his face. I was left looking at his usual blank, impenetrable expression. But his eyes were still fixated on that picture, staring at it unblinkingly. Why a landscape painting? Some kind of passive-aggressive message? It's not of anywhere nearby. Did they travel somewhere? Well, it's not of that girl, so that's an improvement. Master? Oh, you're still here. Still here? Of course I'm still here. Who do you think you asked to take care of the package? What's with you just running over and snatching that painting from me? You scared me. Could you maybe explain yourself? What's so special about that painting? I don't believe that's any of your business. None of my... Of course it is! You ripped it out of my hands like I was some kind of thief. I have the right to know what that's all about, and maybe an apology while you're at it? You told me to open the box, so I did. Then all of a sudden you're angry? We are not equals. Do not mistake yourself for my friend. You have a right to know. You have no such thing. You don't have to be rude. I'll say it again. Leave if you don't like it. I never asked for you to be here. That was your wish. My wish? Are you out of your mind? I never asked for this. I never wished for it. Who in the right mind would want to be sent to a house in the middle of nowhere? Who would ever want to go through that? No, calm down, Giselle. You can't get angry. You're right, that is what I wanted. But I'll never want to make you mad for us to argue like this. I just wanted to get to know you better, to get closer to you. I mean, it would make things smoother for both of us. It would make living together more enjoyable for us. Listen carefully. This is very important for you to understand. Do not try to involve yourself with me. Do not go probing around for information. And if you can't do that, leave. I completely shut out. The glare he was giving me and the standoffish aura he was emanating were reflected in his tone of voice. Why? Why did he try to push me away like that? It seemed Giselle really didn't know much about me. Despite being sent here from my house, she was unaware of the monthly deliveries, as well as the reason why I lived in the mansion all by myself. Why then would they not have told her anything? Why had she been sent here left completely in the dark? Giselle looked up at me, fear and bewilderment in her eyes, though I thought I could see a glint of suspicion beneath it all, like her true feelings were bubbling to the surface. Everyone had darkness in them they kept hidden. No one was exactly who they appeared to be. She was undoubtedly thinking, I'm not here because I want to be. I knew from the moment I first saw her that her bubbly, sweet effect was all a facade. Had she thought I was dense enough to not realize? She was no different than anyone else. What I didn't understand, though, was why she refused to leave no matter how hard I pushed. What was she hiding beneath that innocent-looking face? What was she thinking? What did she carry on her shoulders? Everyone's hiding something, deceiving those around them. I had to figure out what she really was. May I ask you something? Yes. On the day you arrived, you said you made a teeny tiny mistake while working at my family's house. Tell me about that. What did you do at the Bollinger estate? In that moment, brief though it was, her disposition wavered. Fear? Terror? No, perhaps anger. I couldn't tell. Nevertheless, it was abundantly clear that it was a subject she had no interest in me breaching. And so she had borne her fangs. The smile she donned now was visibly forced. It's nothing you need to concern yourself with, Master. I promise, it was an insignificant little thing. She couldn't say. Why couldn't she tell me? What had she done there? What did this woman know about that house? What did she know about me? What was concealed beneath that smile of hers? I am the master of this house, and you are her servant. And still you refuse to tell me? Like I said, it's nothing. There's no reason to bother you with a mere servant's personal blunder, master. Yourself. What are you hiding? I'm not hiding anything. Then you should be able to tell me exactly what you did at the Bollinger estate. Like I said, tell me. Tell me. You won't tell me a thing about yourself, and yet you demand others to tell you about themselves? Here you are practically threatening me. Demanding I tell you something I don't want to talk about. And yet you still haven't told me anything about that painting. Oh, so I was right. You do have something to hide. How many times must I repeat myself? We are not equals. I don't care if it's insignificant or something you don't want to talk about. What? I'm ordering you to tell me. A trifling blunder when I get someone sent to live with the cursed man in the house spoken of so unfavorably. Whatever she had done with the Bollinger estate, that had to be something to do with why she was here. If she truly hadn't done anything, then she had something to gain from this place, or possibly from me. And if that was the case, I had to get her back. Can't make me. Giselle's eyes were wide open. I recognized the look she was giving me. I knew very well what that gaze meant. You're an abomination. It was the same as them. Fear, contempt, revulsion, repulsion. The way she acted, the way she spoke, it was exactly the same. You're no different. I made her uncomfortable. I made her afraid. She thought it was unpleasant. She thought I was despicable. She thought I was an abomination. In a frenzy, I grabbed her by the shoulders, clamping down far more powerfully than I had meant to. Stop! Her face contorted in pain, morphed into someone else's. Who was I directing my anger at? Where was this rage being aimed? Who are you calling an abomination? What? Tell me who? The black fury bubbling up from within me knew no end. The girl, she ridiculed me. She denied my identity with her glare. I couldn't escape from that phantom, that reality. I never called you. No, get away from me! Get your hands off me! Giselle's scream echoed in that entrance hall, rattling in my eardrums. She frantically smacked my arms aside, and then I came back to my senses. She was standing a little ways away, breathing heavily, arms wrapped tight around her body, glowering at me. In her opposition to my touching her. Enlightening. No. You just startle me, that's all. Some servant you are telling your master not to touch you. Alright, I have, I'm allergic to people. It's a very unique condition here. I mean, can you believe that? See, you know how some people get all red into you when they touch a dog or cat? It's that, except for people, So I am sorry. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I beg your forgiveness. Why don't you speak your mind? What? This is what's going on through your mind right now. I have nothing to apologize for. No, that's not. I can somewhat sympathize with your plight, being made to apologize even though you're hurting. I raise my hand against you first, after all. Then you forgive me? Sympathy does not equate to forgiveness. Now you take care of the package. I'm heading back to my chambers. What is it? You're not going to make me leave after what I just did? No, I'm not. For it would seem I can make you leave on your own whenever I so please. Besides, I had yet to learn what she had done. It'd be exceedingly difficult to get that story from her own mouth, but she had left me with one option. To write a letter to my mother, as very much as the very thought revolted me. So yeah, very different characters from the first go-around of this. Several days had passed since the package arrived. The end of my third week living in the mansion was drawing near. Michel wasn't getting any friendlier either. He continued to either snub or bluntly dismiss me whenever we crossed paths. I didn't understand why he acted that way around me. But there was little point in asking when he seemed to think there was little point in talking to me at all. Although at first I had been sure there was some way to get to him to warm up to me. The more time I spent in the mansion, the more my willpower was beginning to feel like it was at its breaking point. I could tell myself to stay positive until I was blue in the face, but it only worked for so long. The one pretty place in the whole house. I'm glad he hasn't covered it back up. Blue moonlight shone quietly through the stained glass window, vainly illuminating some of the room. I hadn't noticed until now, but the room with the stained glass window appeared to be modeled after a chapel. Rows of pews faced the window, below which sat what used to be a pulpit. There was very little left of it, though, and an awkward length of silver was mounted to the pulpit's front face, what was I assumed to be formerly a cross. Upon further reflection, rather than facing the window, the pew seemed to be pointed at the pulpit, or perhaps the cross hanging on it. I wasn't sure why there'd be a chapel in this mansion, but I had no one to ask about it. For a house of this size, a statue of Christ or the Virgin Mary seems more appropriate. It's a very well-made chapel at any rate. I doubted Michel had built it for himself. There'd be no reason for him to cover up the windows if that were the case. Nor had I ever seen him come to pray. Doesn't seem like one to believe in God. God. I'm not even sure if God really existed, then surely the world will be a much more pleasant, peaceful place. No unfair disparities in money or power, no senseless misfortune. I certainly wouldn't have found myself here either. But God was evidently quite fond of giving mankind trials. So he'd probably tell me with a straight face that this was one too. Or perhaps we simply had a false impression of him. And he didn't actually give us anything. He merely sat back and watched, from somewhere far, far away. It wasn't his job to bring peace to the world or ensure our laws were fair. That was all mankind's responsibility. What is God? What are angels? I have no idea. Maybe the Bible has answers. Why should I pray to someone so far away? How do I know when prayer is even getting there? But still, it's not like I have any other options. Don't you worry. It'll all work out, I promise. I already know where I'm going to work. It's a really, really prominent noble house, way out of reach of some small-type merchants like us. You never know, this could be my big break. Oh, I'm just kidding. Don't look so worried. I'll be just fine, honestly. I'll make enough money for us to get back onto our feet. Oh, for goodness sake, I can handle it. Leave everything to me. You just wait, I'll make our family into something you can be proud of. I'll be fine. Yeah, say bye to Mom for me. I probably won't be home for a while. Well, you're afraid I'm going to make some careless mistake? I'm not that airheaded. I can be a refined and elegant young lady. Those nobles won't even know what to believe anymore. If you don't believe me, how about I give you a little taste? How are you doing in this fine morning, master? Your morning beverage is ready, prepared with the utmost of care. See, how about that? Not bad, huh? What, you really think it sounded forced? I was the daughter of a merchant who ran a shop on the capital's main street. My father had passed away in a plague, so it was just me, my mother, and my older sister. It'd be a lie to say business was doing well. We struggled to squeak by day to day after taxes, but we couldn't just abandon the shop and leave the capital either. So we tried to make the best of what we were able to take in between the three of us. Then my sister fell in love with a moderately well-off aristocrat. My mom and I supported her and desired to marry. But then their union almost fell apart because she was not suitable for him. Merchants were hardly the lowest class. What we lacked instead was wealth. We needed another source of money beyond what the shop took in. If only we had money, my sister could get married. If only we had money, my mom wouldn't have to work so hard. If only we had money. It was then that someone from the distinguished Bollinger estate approached me. He said they were in need of Abigails and would love to have me. He said if I agreed to work for them, the Bollinger estate would take care of my family. Generally speaking, noble houses took Abigails from other lower-ranked noble houses. It was unthinkable for someone my status to receive such an offer. So I took it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance and accepted the offer. I just pray that nothing bad happens to my sister. And that Mom is getting enough money to live comfortably. That's all I can do. They're nobility. They have plenty of money. Enough to spare some. Ah. The light shining through the stained glass window began to grow murky, fading into blackness. It felt like a message from on high, that no, my prayers would not be answered. The bluish-white illumination shining down upon me disappeared as clouds blocked the moon. Oh, come on. You don't even want to look at a sullied woman like me? Oh, for heaven's sake. I never asked to end up like this. Their nobility. They have plenty of money. Enough to spare some. Oh, come on. You don't even want to look at a sullied woman like me? Oh, for heaven's sake. I never asked to end up like this. Giselle was sitting in one of the pews in the room with a stained glass window. Just looking at her, you might have thought she was offering a prayer. But the words coming out of her mouth were anything but prayerful. They were filled with resentment. They have plenty of money, a solid woman. And then I've never asked to end up like this. So this is what's beneath the facade. Most likely money is what she's after. All I need now is to confirm my suspicions with them. Just what awful secrets will I uncover? I gave Giselle, sitting in the pew with her head drooped, a cursory glance before leaving the chapel. I had somewhere else to be. The bitterly cold outside air felt like a dozen of needles flowing into my lungs. It had been so long since I stepped beyond the mansion's walls. A thick mist canopied the night sky, blocking out the moonlight. Naturally, the heavens did not rejoice at my leaving the house. It had been 10 years since I had seen the mansion from the outside, and it hadn't changed one bit. A gloomy scar upon the earth, shrouded in darkness. Hardly the kind of place someone would enthusiastically approach. Nevertheless, it was better than that house. Yes? Who is it? Michel. What? Michel Bollinger? Just one moment. I'll be right there. Come in. It's a humble abode, but make yourself at home. Wow, I must say this is rather unexpected. Just one word, I would have been up there in a heartbeat. And how was I supposed to do that? I'm regrettably fresh out of carrier pigeons. Right, yes. My apologies. This man, living in a small cottage not far from the mansion, had been hired by the Bollinger family. His job to watch for me. That said, we had never interacted. It should probably be Bollinger, because, maybe it's French. He was tasking with keeping track of whether I was still alive, and whether I remained in the mansion. The monthly package from my family was delivered to him, which he then passed on to me. It was insipidly convoluted, but it was indicative of how much they wanted to avoid anyone learning about me. Well then, what can I do for you? The manservant was visibly rattled, afraid to, but not because of the difference in our social ranks. I had a pretty good idea what he had been told about me. He's afraid of me, or more specifically my curse. People feared that which they cannot comprehend. Not just children, adults as well. They fear demons, witches, and curses. Anything impure or not of this world. But I had long since gotten used to being viewed as such. It didn't sadden me, it didn't disappoint me, it didn't pain me. Some things were too foolish to concern yourself over. Though it certainly doesn't make me feel good either. I was on some level annoyed. That woman's appearance at the mansion had created ripples in my once tranquil life. So before I got to the real reason for my visit, I decided to take out a bit of my frustration. Raise your head, there's no need to be afraid. I don't know what you've been told, but I promise I don't bite. Ah, how rude of me. You're right, my serious apologies. Your job is to keep watch over me. If the mere sight of me has you trembling, what will you do if I try to run? I would have a little trouble escaping. That would be quite unfortunate. Would I ever tell your mother? I'm not sure that would end well at all. You could lose everything you've been paid so far. In fact, you might be lucky to get out with your life. Surely your mother would not. You're aware of who you're dealing with, right? Ah, Michel, the cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family, who made a pact with the devil. I don't need a blade to take your life. You wouldn't even make it back to report anything. Have mercy, Lord Michel. Please do not leave the mansion. Please spare me. Only joking. What? I don't have the power to kill by way of curse. The man fell silent, but the look on his face said, You are cursed though, aren't you? Once someone's got an idea planted in their head, it's nigh impossible to get rid of it. I'm so cursed that anyone can see it, that I need to be locked away in the dark mansion. I'm here because I had a question for you, not to warn you that I plan to run away. A question? For me? Yes. Approximately 3 weeks ago, a black-haired woman came to the mansion. Tell me what you know about her. I was told there would be Abigail coming, that's all. I don't know anything else about her. I swear, that's all I know. I haven't been told anything else. I believe you. Never thought they would tell you anything. Right. He had been hired to observe me, but that's all he was, a hired hand. He wouldn't be privy to the Bollinger family's internal affairs. Take this. A letter? I need you to deliver this to my mother. You could have just left in the box from this month's package and I would have collected it when I dropped off the next one. I'm in urgent need of information. Will you do this for me? Yes, yes, absolutely. I'll fetch a delivery boy tomorrow morning. Much appreciated. Good night. You too, do take care. Lord Michel. Yes. Is it true that you don't have? Would you like me to sew your mouth shut so you can never open it again? Not at all. My sincerest apologies, Lord Michel. That was horribly disrespectful. Good night. Ah, cursed, I most certainly am. Nah. My mother's response arrived just 10 days later. The delivery boy must have pushed his horse quite hard. It was almost exactly a month after Giselle had moved in. And shortly thereafter, on a bone-chilling night, everything came crashing down. The rift between us grew deeper, and the wall between us impossibly high, when I lay bare the scars in her chest, and mercilessly plunged my knife into them. How did we get to this point? I hate everything. My spirits were getting darker and darker, like they were slowly sinking into a deep morass. I'd been at the mansion for a month, and every day since felt twice as long as it should have. I'd been optimistic at first. I'd even had a little hope that me and Michel could get along together. But it hadn't taken long for that hope to be shattered, and Sheer locked away inside me. We lived in the same house, but we never spoke anymore. On the few occasions we did cross paths, he just gave me a cold glare and nothing more. Scorn and suspicion in his eye. Whenever he looked at me like that, it felt as though my throat was being constricted, like I was deep underwater and running out of air. Like my very presence in the world was a crime. I never could have imagined just how agonizing constant rejection was. I started despising others, despising myself, despising the world. Convinced there was no one who could set me free, I considered running away from everything, rather than live like this another day. But I would have done so long ago if that were actually an option. If they found out I had fled, that I had acted outside their wishes, my mom and sister would pay. I had succeeded in allowing my sister to get married and mom to live comfortably. I'd given them happiness. I couldn't take that away from them again. Not after what I had to go through to do it. No, cut that out. Getting way too depressing, Giselle. Pull yourself together. That's not who you are. Be positive. The negative didn't only come from my interactions with Michel either. No, there seemed to be some kind of terrible presence within the mansion that twisted people's hearts. The mansion was in fact a bit of a local legend, which had been formed about before being sent here. People claimed that it was cursed, and that an evil witch lived in it for many, many years. Michel joked that he was that witch, but I didn't believe him. I'm not usually one to believe in magic or curses at all, but being here so long, I can't help but wondering. Anyway, things can't go on like this. If I was to remain in this house, the situation needed to improve a lot. I was going to lose my mind if things kept up as they were. I was ready to give up once, but I'm going to try closing the distance between us again. If I could get him to open up even the tiniest bit, then maybe that would make living here a little easier. I wasn't going to try to make us best friends or anything, just to repair our relationship enough that being around each other wasn't torturous. I've got my work cut out for me. How do I even begin that conversation? Heck, what is that conversation even going to be about? Maybe I should hold off, do it another day. No. I made up my mind to do this, so I should just get to it quickly. The longer I wait, the worse things are going to get. And eventually there won't be any fixing anything. We need to talk. We need to be in the same room for more than 10 seconds, and we need to get to know each other. He needs to know that he's not the reason I have something to hide. Okay, let's do this. My stride was slow and ponderous, but at the very least I did my best to keep some semblance of a smile on my face. This is the one time where I'd really like to have someone give me a little nudge. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Pardon, Master. There's something I'd like to talk to you about. Master? Guess he's not here. The door wasn't locked. As with the rest of the house, his room was shrouded in darkness. The only light came from a candle in my hand. Master, are you there, Master? I guess I missed him. It's probably best if I don't stick around for long. He's already got a less than stellar impression of me. I don't want to imagine what happens if he thinks I've been snooping through his room. Yeah, I should get out of here. I spun around on my heels, taking a step toward the door, when I caught a sight of an object draped in a black sheet. I knew I had to get out of there as quickly as possible, but I was intrigued by that object. Something he kept hidden in a room I was forbidden to enter. Maybe it was a clue to discovering Michel's secrets. I reached my hand down toward the object, knowing good and well I shouldn't. Was it because I wanted to learn more about him? Was it because I wanted to tear down the veil he hid behind? Or was it the whispers of the witch? What do we have here? I pulled off the sheet, revealing a framed painting of what appeared to be a noble woman with porcelain white skin. What stood out about her, though, was that the woman's hair was pale as her skin. And then... What? I noticed something else. Wide gashes ravaged the canvas, damaging her face beyond repair. What the? I imagined it had once been a painting of a beautiful woman, but here was hardly a trace of that left. The only feelings inspired anymore was a deep chill. The damage was not accidental, it was deliberate, angry, and the contempt emanating from within that frame was stifling. Thick, suffocating blackness seeped into me. Why would anyone? She was surely the most beautiful woman. Angelic, even. A storm of questions assaulted me. Who was she? Why had her face been carved up? Why had the painting been covered? What had happened? Who could have... There's only one person who could have done this. Michel, why on earth? You saw it, didn't you? You saw the painting, didn't you? You entered my room without permission. You saw the painting, didn't you? I am... angelic, you say? There's nothing angelic about that damned woman. I scrambled to make some excuse, but nothing would come out of my mouth. All I could do was tremble. Why did you enter my chambers? Michel, what were you looking for? Answer me. My mouth wouldn't move properly. I couldn't make my voice come out. It was like I wasn't even in my own body anymore. The wisp of air that were drawn into my lungs were expelled as forced gasps. My breaths were shallow and rapid. I was inhaling, but I wasn't getting any air. I was terrified. Terrified. Terrified, terrified, terrified. Of his eyes, of his voice, of his feelings, of the knife he was holding up to me. Of the terrible past I had changed to. The man's voice. The man's very flesh. Terrified me. What were you trying to find, and what were you planning to do with it? Answer me. Another thing you refuse to tell me, huh? No, I'm trying. Nothing's coming out of my mouth, though. Everything's so bright, and I can't catch my breath. Can't breathe. That's fine, though. You don't have to tell me. I have a pretty good idea. An idea? What do you mean? Money's what brought you to the Bollinger estate, and it's what brought you to me, too. There are countless people who would love to see the house fall, and a noble family fears nothing more than disrepute. You are, I presume, approached by someone scheming of the Bonder's downfall. No, no. And just so happens the Bonders have a very unfortunate secret, one they're quite desperate to keep under wraps. Me. No. Someone suspected I might still be alive, so they sent you to dig up information about me. My very existence threatened is to tear down that house. The cursed youngest son of the Bonder family. Michel, who made a pact with the devil, who is supposed to be dead, but is very much alive. You sweet-talked your way into that house and into information about me and our present situation, and you meant to trade that information for money. I bet whoever it was put quite a handsome price on it too. Or maybe the one plotting to ruin the Bonder family is you. No, that's not true. Then enlighten me. Please hear me out. I don't know anything about you. I wasn't sniffing around. If they're trying to bring you harm in any way, then tell me if that's not the reason you wormed your way into the Bonder's thing. And that's not what you're doing here. Then tell me what is. Tell me why you came to this mansion. You want me to tell you about that? No, wait, that's asking way too much. Tell me. I swear I haven't done anything wrong to you. I simply wanted to make our life together a little more comfortable. To bring some warmth to this frigid relationship we have. That's the only reason I wanted to find out more about you. I must assume I'm right then, Giselle. I must tell him he's wrong. I must tell him he meant him no harm. But I can't say anything. The merchant's daughter became an Abigail at a noble house. Could you come up with a more obvious lie? Your father is the one who... Wait, how does he know that I'm from a merchant family? You look perplexed. I may be imprisoned in this house, not free to move about as I please. But I have my ways. I know everything. Everything? Then he knows about that too. And yes, I do know. Please. Don't. In your quest for money, don't say it. You slept with my father. In that moment, Michel plunged his knife into my heart. He carved through my chest with those words, causing me to completely lose control of myself. In a panic frenzy and probably screaming all the way, I knocked the man aside and ran. I could hear a clap of thunder in the distance. Oh, how I wished a bolt of lightning would come crashing down upon me. Maybe if God burned my tainted flesh with a divine thunderbolt, it would get rid of some of the filth, but the jagged streaks of light cascading across the dark clouds did not strike me, only creating restless grumbles in the sky. I knew if I fled the mansion, I would likely be causing trouble for my mom and sister, but I was helpless to stop myself. All I could do was run from all that threatened me, with no regard for the consequences. But before long, small droplets of rain began falling, which soon grew heavy enough to penetrate the forest canopy, reaching the ground where I stood. The downpour drowned out my tears and my cries, because I had rushed from the mansion without even putting on a cloak. Each cold winter droplet stung bitterly against my flesh. But the bite of the rain was like a warm embrace compared to what I had been through before. Michel had spoken the truth. As much as I wanted to deny it, to avert my eyes, reality was forever engraved in this body. No, I don't think of that. I had no say in the matter. Get out of my head! Antonin, come over here, Giselle. Okay, may I ask why you asked me to be here so late at night, Master? Huge content warnings to anyone here right now. We're gonna get into some stuff that is rough. If you have issues with sexual assault, yeah, definitely feel free to step away and, No, I just wanted to have a little chat. Care for some wine? Come closer and pull your glass. I had this wine imported from up north. They used a very hard water, and I like it rather tart, so there's quite the lasting impression on your tongue. And yet it goes down so easily, you can't just seem to stop. What do you say, have a sip? Or does your expertise as a trader allow you to evaluate a wine's quality without tasting it? No, but please, Giselle, don't trample all over my good graces. Very well then, I will have a sip, master, but no more. Have you considered growing out your hair? Having long hair made it difficult to do my job. You're not a merchant anymore, though. You deserve to look like the woman you truly are. I have no doubt that longer hair would accentuate your natural beauty. It's a gorgeous shade of black, so deep a man could get lost in it for years. It would contrast the color of your skin fabulously. Highlight your eyes, your cheekbones, your nape, your shoulders, and your chest. I should get going. Yup. Huge creep. It's not gonna get better. Oh, but we're not done talking yet. I would not want a lack of sleep to interfere my ability to work tomorrow. Thank you very much for the wine. It was delicious. No need to be so cold-hearted now. From upon the moment I first laid eyes on you. Hello, Mosca. You're a bit late. Welcome to content warning sexual assault hours. This is not great. This is not good. Yeah. You arrived right at this, and you're ahead, so you know what's happening. Master, that's enough fooling around for one night. No, don't be afraid. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. I simply want to express my love. Let go of me. I only came because I wanted to work, nothing more. The first time I saw you, I thought it would be a tragic way to leave you to wither away working this little street-side shop. Stop. You can't tell me you didn't know a merchant girl had no place in a house like this, even as a servant. There's only one reason you would be allowed in. No, I swear it never even crossed my mind. Seem you're more innocent than you look. But you figured it out all by now, haven't you? No, let go of me. Stop this. Keep your voice down. Do not shout, Giselle. If anyone were to find out about this, you would be the one shouldering the consequences, not me. But you're a maid and I'm the master of the house. Whose word do you think holds more weight? Don't worry, I won't do anything to hurt you. I promise your family will be exceptionally well taken care of. Your mother will have the comfortable life you wanted for her. But you know what will happen? You raise a fuss and make a fool of yourself. Not only will your family not get any more money, and not only will your sister not get to marry, you'll all spend the rest of your lives on the streets. How could you be so cruel? This is blackmail. Blackmail? For a merchant's daughter, you don't know much about trade, do you? So let me give you a little lesson about market value. The goods you're after, Giselle, are not cheap. Understand? Now let me see that beautiful body of yours. He was an older man, so I expected him to be very strong, but I couldn't break free of his grip, and found myself entirely at his mercy. Beneath the gaudy outfits lay a hungry beast. I was seeing the creature's true colors for the first time that day. That aging man ran his disgusting, slobbery tongue across my exposed skin. Everything he placed his hands upon withered away. Every piece of flesh he pressed his lips against putrefied, rotted, decayed, rankled. I trembled in revulsion, at which the man laughed, seemingly interpreting as something else. I wonder what kind of place hell was. If hell's wardens only flayed and carved their prisoners, I would prefer that instead. I would have rather been sliced into tiny little chunks and cast into hellfire. I would have chosen eternal torment over being touched by this man another second. But I didn't get to choose my hell. Eventually the man forced open the gates I had been holding fast, and spread his festering death inside me. Listen to me, Giselle. It is in both of our interests to keep this between the two of us. If you can do that, I'll continue to do good by you and your family. And don't look at me like that, please. I'm thrilled to have you here in this house, Giselle. She has long since lost her mind after all. It's torture just being in the same room. And my sons, they hardly ever come home. But you, Giselle, you give color to my dull life. You make it exciting once again. Now go back to your room. I'll be waiting here at the same time next week. I couldn't escape from the man's grasp, not when he used my family against me. Some weeks I would just not go to his chamber, my one feeble means of resistance. But when I did that, he would send another Abigail to come find me the next day. I couldn't ignore his summons when he got other people involved. And then when the two of us alone, the mask would come off, and he would discipline me for not showing up before taking care of his usual business. On good days, he would leave bruises in inconspicuous places, my abdomen, my inner thigh. But he went as far as carving a word into my skin with a knife. That was why I was afraid of knives. That was why I was afraid of men shouting. I wasn't even sure what to regret anymore. I was in far too deep. There was no turning back the clock. I even considered taking my own life on more than one occasion. But every time the thought crossed my mind, happy memories came with it. Back when it was just the three of us girls in the shop. Life may not have been easy, but it was never dull either. I didn't want to end my life at its absolute lowest point. I wanted, if just temporarily, to go back to the way things were back then. That objective was the only thing that allowed me to keep going. When I was in his presence, I tried to convince myself I was merely an object. I had no emotion, so he couldn't hurt me. I was merely a vessel, a construct of flesh and bones. His hands couldn't reach my heart, for it was not connected to my body. Doing that made it a little easier to bear. But the reality was, it's impossible to completely sever my heart from my body. You're Giselle, aren't you? One day, the mistress of the state stopped me in the halls. She had supposedly once been quite beautiful, but now she was only haggard and bony. Her skin dry, her eyes sunken, her hair faded, stripped of its luster. Her head down, her cracked lips barely moving as she spoke. AIDS didn't appear to be the only thing working its merciless magic on her either. There seemed to be something eating away at her from the inside too, something that could burst at the lightest touch. Yes, I'm Giselle. Is there something I can do for you? The mistress rarely ever left her chambers. I had been told it had been a year since she attended the family supper. So what would bring her to come looking for someone like me? It's you. What? I wasn't sure I wanted to know the answer. You know what the worst part is, Mosca? There's another thing that's just as comparable in a later chapter. That's pretty extended. You're having relations with my husband, aren't you? You are, aren't you? Madam, you wretched creature. She was telling me the truth. One of my trusty maids caught a glimpse of you through a crack in the door. She saw you with them, filthy rat. You seduced my husband. You devil, you conniving witch. You don't get it, do you? You don't realize how grievous your sin is, do you? Anyone, restrain this girl. She's a demon. A devil. Tie her up and hand her over to the clergy. No, that won't be enough. In which you have to burn her bones, scatter her ashes, or she'll just come back to life. Yes, execute her, kill this witch, and burn the witch, seize the piece she's stolen from me. Cursed, it's cursed. This house is cursed. Not only is taken my daughter, now it's trying to take away my husband. Oh God, please shine thy cleansing light upon this house. I knew it would be a waste of breath trying to talk to her. She was not of sound mind. There was madness in her eyes. I didn't even have to make a fuss about it. It happened all on its own. If there's no way around it, then I should have just done it myself after the first time. I didn't have the energy to argue with her or to require her to shout. But before long, a crowd began to form around me and the sobbing mistress, and in it stood him. I assumed he would just stand back and watch, but much to my surprise, he stepped in, and with an embarrassed look on his face, to try to settle his wife down and convince her to not have me executed. Maybe he did have a heart after all, or maybe he just wanted a safe face. Regardless, instead of being burned at the stake, I was decided to send his way to some remote forest. One of the previous Bollinger family heads had purchased a mansion there long ago, but it had been abandoned because of the stories people told about it. They said a cursed witch dwelled in the house. She had returned to life after being executed, and now skulked about in the darkness. It was the perfect place to banish a sinner. And so, accused of adultery, I was in a carriage on my way out of the capital the next day. I hope my mom and sister are alright. The two of them will believe in me, even if no one else does. The wooden wheels turned, carrying me away to that cursed mansion, just a silent coachman and a single sullied passenger. Looking out through the window, I could see the city walls slowly fading into the distance behind us. I doubt I would ever set foot in this land again, ever cross the Grand Pont again. It was a sounding reality, but at the same time, I felt a surge of relief. I'd finally escaped from that house. I'd finally escaped from that man. This sense of freedom slightly lessened the weight of everything else I was feeling. A good while after we left the capital, the coachman handed me a letter. On the sheet of parchment was a rather startling revelation. There was someone else already living at the house where I was to reside. The Bollinger's youngest child. The letter didn't say why he had been sent to the cursed mansion, only that he was there. Beyond that, the letter only made a single request. That I look after him and not ask any questions. So I'm not just being sent off to the middle of nowhere. I still have work to do. If I look after whoever's at the mansion, then they'll do the same for my family? I don't have much say in the matter either way, I suppose. The carriage rattled and shook as it traversed the stony path, and bouncing around inside it, I resolved to take back my life. The peace I had once known, the cheerfulness I had lost, and to do so I would forget, lock away my memories, bury every terrible thing that had happened to me, cast aside those memories and find my smile once more. I have no idea who I'm going to find there, but they couldn't possibly do anything worse to me. I'll greet them with a smile, and do my best to build a distant relationship with them. I figured since the both of us had been banished to the same cursed mansion, there would probably be other things we had in common. And so, I'd forget it all, and give my life back. Give my smile back. And that was everything that led up to me arriving at the mansion. All the wounds I never wanted to open again. I didn't want to think about that. I've been trying so hard to forget about it. I wanted to forget all about it. So why? Why did you have to make me remember? All I did was please that we can make things work. Why? How could you? God, I can't take it anymore. One of the memories that had broken free, they all flooded back with perfect clarity. Exactly how he ran his hands across me. Exactly where he hit me, or he cut me. Like I was going through it again this very moment. The rain was cooling me down on the outside, but so much nauseating heat had built up in my gut. I vomited all over the ground. I threw up and I threw up and I threw up until there was nothing left but bile. And then when I had nothing left to expel, the strength tagged back to my knees and I collapsed. I didn't know if everything was blurry because of the rain, because my eyes had decided that we're done looking at anything. The whole world twisted before me. Michel's no different. My attempts to get close to him to always keep a smile. It was all a waste. The look in his eyes was terrifying. Like he didn't believe in anything at all. He probably wouldn't have believed me if I told him the truth. If he can convince I have an ulterior motive, there's probably no changing his mind. Such a cold rain. If I lie down here and go to sleep, I wonder if all the warmth will eventually drain from my body. And then I'll decompose and become part of the earth. You know, that might actually be nice. I like that. I always thought I didn't want to die. That I wanted to go back to the way things were. But who cares anymore? I did my best after all, and that still got me nowhere. Cheerful Giselle was all just a farce. When I'm dead, all my worry from my mom and sister will fade away with me. Oh God. I doubt you have a place for me on high. I'm after all an unclean woman. And I've given up on living altogether. But even if I can't get into heaven, that's okay. I just want release. The rain pattered down through the leaves overhead, chilling my skin. The cold spread through my flesh and into my bones. Ah, my heart and lungs and stomach, freezing me like a block of ice. My consciousness drifted away from me, and the world slipped through my fingers. More than fear, I felt relief. Utter black, and that I was sure was the end of me. Jesus, that's rough. That's just. Ugh. And that I was sure that was the end of me. I'm even now putting her through a harrowing experience, digging up the memories she locked away, the past she wanted to pretend that never happened, and laying it all out before her once more. But I must get her back to what she once was, if it means forcing her to endure this. She must remember everything, because I need to know. Why did she become the maid? What secrets is this household? You're Michelle. Yes, my name is Michelle. I'm not the white hair girl. The person you were searching for was the man who once hurt you deeply. Me. Why? What was her why referring to? Why I hurt her? Or why I'm here? Or perhaps why it didn't show up until now? Not having an answer, I clench her cold hands in mine. I wonder were her hands this cold that night too? There's still more we need to see though, and still too soon for me to apologize. When she's gotten everything back, only then can I. When she's reclaimed herself, that is when I must tell her. Now let us return to our past. Our story had only just begun. No matter what we thought or what we desired, no matter what we lost or how much pain we suffered, we must not shut this door. Perfect darkness embraces us once more. I can see nothing, not even the woman beside me. But I shall not let go of her hand. I do not want her to slip away from me. I do not want to lose her. What? Ava, stay with me. Are you alright? Oh, thank goodness you're awake. How's your head? Can you see me? What? You had me scared silly there. I thought I might have lost you for good. I'm really glad you're alive. Where am I? And who is this man? What was I doing? You feel up for any food? I can whip up some porridge for you right quick. I was in the forest. It was raining. Before that, I was at the mansion. I feel sick, like there's still something in my stomach. No, thank you. I don't want anything. You really should have something. You need to keep up your energy, unless you want to conk out again now. Sounds good to me. I'd rather never wake up at all. You're not in the high spirits either, it seems. All the more reason to get something warm in you. Please have something. I've got some milk on the fire. I bet you can handle a cup of that. You start losing all hope once the cold gets that deep in you, reaches down to your core. Take me at my word, please, just one sip. You feel like a whole new gal. A heart-wrenchingly pleasant aroma wafted up with the steam from within the wooden cup. Succumbing to the sweet smell, I lifted the cup to my lips for just one sip, and the warmth that spread through me brought tears to my eyes. Perhaps there really was kindness in this world. A ripple spread across the surface of the milk. I heard a gentle sigh coming from the man beside me, after which he said with a smile, "You should take it easy for the day." I had lost the willpower to think about anything. I didn't care what had happened to me, or why I was here, or who he was, or even where this was. I spent the whole day in bed, just watching the sun slowly slide across the wooden floor. It felt like I was somewhere far, far away. At times I felt like a lost child, and at times like a sickly old woman on her deathbed. Watching the sun travel gave me renewed awareness of the passage of time, and the fact that each moment that went by was another moment I was alive. I realized that it had been quite a while since I had gotten more than a brief glimpse at sunlight. It almost reminds me how colorful the world seemed beneath the sun's light. Something I didn't get much of in the Dark Mansion. Only after losing something do you realize how much you need it. More milk, the light shining through the window, and a bed that smelled like springtime. Without those three things, my heart slowly began to drift fast, and I started to regain the willpower to stand on my own 2 feet. Thank you for everything. You sure you're in any shape to be on your feet? Yes, I'm fine. I'm not hurt. You looked pretty beat up to me. But you look a lot better now. And you're talking a lot more clearly than before. You've been very generous despite having never met me before, and for that you have my deepest gratitude. Without your help, I would no longer be in this world. I don't deserve your thanks. You're alive now because God's guidance made it so. God. I came across you early this morning as I was heading into the forest to hunt. Imagine my surprise seeing a young lady like you on the ground in my path. What were you doing in the forest? You don't have to tell me if you'd rather not. Everyone's got their own share of personal problems. You're not going to demand I talk? I have no reason to force you to do anything. You look like you've been to hell and back. What? I could just tell by looking at you. Now then, do you have somewhere you can go? Somewhere to go? Of course I don't. I can't go back to the capital or the mansion. If not, then why don't you stay here? Here? Sure, it's a small village. We're self-sufficient and we all help each other out. No tax-hungry lords know we built this place up either, so we keep everything we make. We're pretty remote as a result. The harvest isn't fantastic, but I'm sure you'll find it comfortable here. The rest of the villagers will be glad to have you. What do you say? Sorry, Mom. What I'm about to do might make the rest of the family's lives more difficult, but I don't want to have to feel any more pain. If I really wouldn't be inconveniencing you. If it's really okay, then yes. I would like to stay here. That's great to hear. I was loath to send you back to out there in your current condition. I haven't introduced myself yet, have I? The name's Amadei, just one lowly villager of many. I'm Giselle. Giselle, that's a beautiful name. If I'm not mistaken, there should be a vacant house. Clean it up and you couldn't call it home. I couldn't possibly ask for that. I doubt others would like if I just took a house for myself. That shouldn't be an issue. I'm the village's representative, more or less. Representative like the chief? Only a name, though. As I mentioned, we're not on any lord's maps, so I don't have much representing to do. One reason I ended up charged because I'm a bit more educated than anyone else. It was a long time ago, but I understudied with a priest. Because of that, I'm familiar with the Bible's teachings. So rather than a chief, the people of the village look at me more like a priest. Wouldn't be much fun if the church found out about that. They're liable to think I'm acting unordained. Didn't you believe in God? That's quite the question. Of course God exists. He's always watching over us. That's why you survived, because he protected you. I understand that your faith can waver when you're going through times of tribulation, but those are the times when it's most important to keep sight of who you are. Right. Now you get some rest. Tomorrow I'll show you around the village. Thank you. I truly mean it. I really sincerely appreciate everything. Don't mention it, Giselle. This is your village now too, so you don't need to act like a stranger anymore. Okay. So he's Amadei. He seems like a nice man. Maybe here, I can live in peace. It'll be alright, I'm sure. Yeah. I wasn't silly enough to believe my life would be perfect, but I found a tiny fragment of my lost hope. While I had once been ready to give up on absolutely everything, I was starting to feel like I might be able to smile again, eventually. Like I might be able to get back on my feet. And in order to do that, I had to cast aside my past once more. Forget everything that happened at the Bollinger estate, and everything that happened at the mansion. Forget about Michel. There's one niggling curiosity though that I couldn't shake, something I had said before I left. My very existence threatens to tear down that house. The cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family. Michel, who made a pact with the devil, who is supposed to be dead, but is very much alive. What had he meant by that? Why would people think he was dead? No, I don't care about Michel one bit. Forget it. Forget everything. The house was, as it always been, wrapped in a thick silence. Giselle's shadow, which had been lurking in the halls for about a month, was nowhere to be found. She hadn't come back since running off that day. My secret was still safe. Her efforts had in the end been all but for naught. Back to the way things were. But that, despite that, my mind was telling me that was for the best. It felt kind of guilt seething in the back of my chest, and any attempts to figure out why only made it feel worse. But the look on her face then. Please, hear me out. I didn't know anything about you. I wasn't stressed ever out or trying to bring you harm in any way. Was that really just her putting up an act because it revealed her scheming? She was screaming though, and she looked genuinely terrified when she knocked my hand away. I'm not falling for anything. I feel like I know that frenzied panic. Something doesn't add up. Be quiet. Silence, please. My head was pounding beyond belief. I couldn't stand anything. This world, the creature I was, the witches whispering. The archangel looking down upon me seemed to be cackling from somewhere far out of reach. So for whatever it was worth, to escape from his gaze. I once again drew the drapes over the stained glass window. Whoa, it's someone new. Hey, where are you from? You gonna be here long? Are you? We hardly ever get visitors here, so they're downright awestruck by you. You'll be getting a lot of attention for a little, but please don't let it get to you. No, that's just fine. I'll do my best to get along with everyone. You got a spark in you that wasn't there yesterday. Anything in particular that cheered you? In particular, once I decided I was going to stay here, I just sort of started feeling better about things. And I figured I couldn't stay gloomy forever. I see, glad to hear. And that's all thanks to you, Amade. Keep thanking me like that and my cheeks might get stuck red. And anyway, Vent, I said I showed you around yesterday, so how about we do that? Lead the way. That said, we are a modest little village of about 100. Everyone knows everyone. For that size, it looks pretty big to me. Amade taking the lead, we walked through the village, passing by crop fields and milk cows, presumably shared among the villagers. Houses were scattered across an area that seemed far too large for only 100 people. Actually getting a better look at them, the buildings were dilapidated, looking more like ruins than residences. Once upon a time, this was a city rather than a village. When your ancestors lived here? Oh no, we're drifters fortunate enough to come across some decent looking land, so we stuck around. How do you know what it was like before then? There was a few stone tablets left behind, and based on what we were able to extract from their text. This area used to be a large city with a booming economy, rivaling the capital. There weren't hundreds, but thousands of people bustling about. Merchants from afar came in droves. It was much like how the capital is now. Actually, this area was more open to foreigners. People of all different races speaking the many different languages. It was evidently quite the sight and sound. I had no idea there was a city here. That's what happens when a place is wiped from history. I couldn't tell you how reliable the tablets are, but if you take them at their word, this city lost everything in just a single week. What? People, crops, livestock, all dead. Maybe it was a natural disaster, a famine, a plague. Can't say for sure. This is what the tablet said, though. We have been cursed by the witch. Cursed by the witch? Look over there, you see that river? There used to be a magnificent bridge crossing it, but there's hardly anything left of it. If you continue along the path beyond the fallen bridge, there's forest, and that's where we found you. The deeper parts of the forest are so dense you can't see anything but tree trunks and leaves. It's an eerie place, wrapped in a cloud of darkness. If you make it through that, there's the mansion, which is said to be cursed. The witch who supposedly destroyed the city lives in the house deep within the forest. She's been there for years and years and years, and she casts her curse on anyone who goes near it. The city was so large that the mansion was actually in its borders. My guess is the bridge was built to mark the road leading to it. Now, as you can see, the bridge is gone and the house still standing are practically in ruins. But the mansion alone looks just as it did back then. The vague origins of this whole they burned her and she did a Junji Ito story thing. Yep. It feels ancient even back here. Nearly 1,000 years ago. And it still feels ancient. The witch living in the mansion goes by the name Morgana. According to the record, someone by the same name was executed in this area for witchcraft. And even in death, she continues to bear her grudge against mankind. Who knows how much of it is true, though? Truth or fiction, the story is taking root in this region. The city's history may be lost, but the legend of the witch continues to be told. People have a tendency to keep stories alive that scare them. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. No, I'm fine. You best be staying away from the mansion and the forest anyway. There's no saying what might happen if curiosity gets the better of you. Better safe than sorry, if you ask me. Aside from the mansion, this is the peaceful village you can find. They're free from the lords, their horrible oppression and taxation. It's pretty good, and they're all living together, working as one for the benefit, and things are going well. This place seems great. Better safe than sorry, if you ask me. Aside from the mansion, this is a peaceful village. Come on. I don't know where you came from, but I'm glad you didn't end up wandering up there. I know all about the mansion, who lives there. I was there after all, with Michel for a full month. But I don't remember any cursed witch. Just a man with a bone-chilling get there. Evie, are you like? Do you already? You're thinking things are falling apart? Maybe the rumors of the witch living there were spread by him, or perhaps even his family. I could see them doing that. But none of that matters to me anymore. I'm never going anywhere near that house again. The witch's curse, Michel. They're nothing to me. Come on, like, Giselle is trying her best to, like, keep on. And it's hard. It's hard. With nowhere else to go, I end up in a small village. There's no denying there was very little to speak of here. But I found peace in that nothingness. She's trying so hard. I couldn't have been more blessed that such a kind man had found me and welcomed me into his village. The village ran entirely on its own crops and livestock. They had no currency, merely bartering among themselves. Coming from a merchant's family, everything felt so new. I had never plowed a large plot of land, milked a cow, or used a loom before. At first I wasn't sure what to think, being such a departure from my lifestyle in the capital. But over time I grew more comfortable with my new life, and the people of the village started thinking me as one of them. Come on, Giselle, come play with us. We're playing hide and seek today. Can't, sorry, I'm spinning yarn. You can do that later. Oh, come on, play with us. Ah, stop that, don't pull on my skirt. Oh, alright, you win. When I'm done with this, I'll join you. No ditching, we'll be down by the square, okay? Got it, see you there. The kids are taking quite a liking to you. Amine. You think so? They've been incredibly lively since you arrived. Children are more sensitive than ours. Sensitive? They're very perceptive of others are feeling. If you begrudgingly play along, they'll pick up on that quickly. You like children, that's a wonderful thing. There's not a good woman in the world who dislikes children. Why, thank you. I don't think it's so much that I like them, as much as I'm kind of like a big kid myself. I genuinely enjoy hide and seek. Well, that's not gonna earn me any points. I like kids too. Watching them, it gives me faith that this world has a bright future. A bright future? I never looked at them that way. They seem to like you quite a bit too, Amade. Thanks, though I'd rather give my affection to my own kids. Oh, you have children? Oh, heavens no, I thought I was being obvious enough. I'm talking about the future. I see. But knowing you, Amade, I'm sure you'll find someone right for you and have kids of your own in no time. It's not that easy, sadly. Even in such a small village, there are no ladies who take an interest in me. You don't give yourself enough credit. I'm fully confident you'll find someone soon enough. Do you really think so? Absolutely. But perhaps you could be that person. What? Pardon? I won't pressure you into it, of course. But I think it would be marvelous to have you in my life in a bigger way. But it's a little soon for me to think of settling down on that. It is pretty sudden, man. Take all the time you need to consider it. Alright, I have to go play with the kids now. Have fun. I wonder if he really meant it. Amadei is a nice fellow. I'm sure his living here would be wonderful. But I can't help feel like something isn't right here. Why am I thinking about him, now of all times? The man has no redeemable qualities, not one. So far, he really doesn't. Michel's kind of a huge asshole. As it turned out, Amadei was serious about his proposition, and he brought it up every time we ran into each other. Unable to give him an answer, I found myself constantly apologizing to him. He's the first Italian NEET. I am sorry, Mosca, but if you were paying attention, you should have realized this is France. It's even worse, he's a French NEET. Soon, winter started giving way to spring. On a day when the air had this brisk winter bite, and budding seedlings battled to break through the earth, the seams holding the village together began to come loose. That day, the village men were gathered in the square talking. They all had stern looks on their faces. It was clear that something had happened. I obviously couldn't stick my head in, so I waited until they were done and caught Amadei. While it was rather awkward, it was still more comfortable than asking for information than anyone else. Actually, with a dejected look on his face, he started explaining. A lord found out about this village. What? And he said he's going to place his land under his rule, meaning he'll start collecting taxes. In addition, he'll also be demanding we pay 5 years' worth of back taxes for our unauthorized use of the land. What? That's ridiculous. Yes, it most certainly is. We obviously don't have the means to pay 5 years' taxes. There's no reason for him to take over this village at all. We're completely isolated from the surrounding area after all. But if we resist, he could send soldiers. It doesn't matter how absurd his claims that the village is. We had no choice but to comply. Once again, greed. Just... Oh my god. What are we going to do then? We're going to do as the Lord demands. The 5 years' tax will have to be paid in installments. Some of the men suggest we abandon the land and find somewhere else. But it would take time to cultivate the land and plant food crops. It's no trivial task. We'll just have to make do with these changes. We'll use more of the land to grow and try to be more efficient. Will you help in the fields? Of course. This village is my home now too. Thank you, Giselle. It'll be difficult, but if we all pitch in, I'm sure we can get through this. I thought the same thing. If we all work together, we can make it through this rough patch. But the collection of taxes brought more than just a burden for everyone's share. It brought emotional strain and conflict to the village too. Your family has more hands to work the fields. I have a sickly child. You expect him to work any harder than he is? I know you're hiding grain in your cellar. You have more than us. Let us keep a little grain. You have more. No, you have more. You both have more than us. When their comfortable lives fell under attack, the village's top priority became their own property. The cooperation was only temporary, and before long, everyone became a threat. The negative energy only built in on itself, its growth accelerating like a boulder rolling down the hill. It wasn't long before their sights fell on me, the outsider. Come on, get moving. Ow, stop that. Why are you doing this? I'll stop once you've told us everything. Told you what? One morning, a man dragged me from my house and took me to the square. There, the entire rest of the village was gathered, all eyes on me. What? Why? What's this about? Oh, don't play stupid. We all know it was you. What was me? The thief. Amadei? From the crowd appeared someone I knew quite well. The ever-affable village representative, the man who had saved my life. But in his eyes now, I thought you were better than this. It was contempt, anger, and scorn. So many different shades of negativity. I recognized what I saw in his glare immediately, as someone who had been subjected to those looks before. But why? For what reason was he looking at me like that? I couldn't make sense of what was happening. So I just stood there stupefied. There's been a rise in reports of people having things stolen lately. This village is too small to attract bandits though. Since the Lord now demands we pay him taxes, even the smallest items lost can have traumatic impact on his living conditions. What you've done is no joke. Wait, just a second. I haven't stolen anything. Why do you think You've been seen in the act. What? So long as there's testimony against you, your guilt is assured. Who says they saw me? I swear I didn't do anything. They're obviously lying. You're the one who's lying. You've been playing us for fools this whole time. Everything was fine until you showed up. We managed to not get found until you showed up. No, that's not my fault. Giselle, apologize to the village and return what you've taken. Amadei, don't you believe me? There were multiple witnesses. Several different people saw you stealing. I've known these people for long enough to be family, and I trust them like family too. They're not liars. But no, they're framing me. I didn't steal anything, I swear. Framing you? Now you want to put this on us, woman? Unbelievable. Have you forgotten we welcomed you into our village? Amadei, please believe me. You of all people should believe me. You've been avoiding me of late, haven't you? What? Because you've had something to hide, correct? No, what other reason could you have to avoid me? Why? How can he say these things? Why won't he believe me? Now return the things you've stolen. I can't. I've never stolen anything. How am I supposed to return something I don't have? I see, so you've already removed the stolen goods. She said she doesn't have them anymore, folks. How should we deal with this? Rough her up till she talks. She's not getting off that easy. Give us back our property. Why is this happening to me? The harsh new rulership has driven these people mad. I need to get away from this village quick. Restrain her! No, get your hands off me. Have you forgotten everything we've done for you? All that matters is that you don't have to suffer. Is that it? I didn't do anything. Take her to my house. We'll make her tell us everything. No, stop. You've all gone mad. Please come to your senses. With men on all four sides of me, I was dragged into Amadei's house. He sat coolly in a chair and shoved me to my knees before him. I'll ask you this one more time, Giselle. Where did you put the things you stole? And I'll keep giving the same answer. I didn't take anything from anyone. Please believe me. Do you swear with God as your witness? I do, I swear with all my heart. You don't actually believe her, do you, Amadei? She's not only sold us out to the Lord, she's now threatening to make our lives downright impossible. Again, that's just a coincidence. Listen to me, Amadei. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the woman hath committed 3 sins. She has lied, she has stolen, she has betrayed her fellow man. Also, I'm sorry that we're gonna need to have another content warning here. Yeah, Evie, things started going really badly. Firstly, the Lord found the place, which, they had to pay 5 years in back taxes, which they can't really do. So now they have to, farm a lot more and try to somehow survive while also paying 5 years of back taxes. And they can't really resist or fight back or anything. And that created a lot of tension, and then people are being assholes to each other in a lot of ways, and everything's falling apart now that greed and feudalism has arrived. And then turns out Amadei might be kind of shitty on the down low as well. Why are you doing this, Amadei? You were such a good man. I am deeply disappointed in you, Giselle. As much as I don't want to do this, I have to get the truth from you. Amadei. Of course, why didn't see it? I'm still just an outsider to them. Why wouldn't he believe a stranger's word over the word of the village, his family? The water. What? A man set a wooden well bucket on the floor in front of me. It wasn't clean water for a while, but grimy, murky wastewater. I reflexively turned my head from the stench, but a man behind me grabbed my hair, and before I had a chance to realize what was happening, the world around me went brown. I struggled with all my might to break free, but my arms were tied behind me back, and I didn't have the strength to overpower the man holding my head down. Reflexively gasping for air, a stream of filthy water poured into my mouth. Pull her out. We get nothing if she dies. Put her back in. And keep it until she decides she's ready to talk. No! How unsightly. And to think I ever considered marrying this woman. Stop. We can stop whenever you want, Giselle. You just have to tell us the truth. Please. Stop. I was given no time to rest. My head shoved into the bucket and pulled out just long enough for me to steal a breath before going back in. Over and over again. Not a person in that room objected to the abuse I was receiving. I had prayed for a good harvest with these people. They had taught me how to use a loom, something I had never touched before. We had laughed together, lived together. They were normal people. Perfectly ordinary, kind, helpful, friendly people. Not at all cruel or inhumane. But now they burned with a frenzy that overshadowed all my memories of them, and every gargle, gasp, and grunt that got at me fueled that fire. Dozens of eyes laced with madness stared down upon me, rejoicing at my suffering. My consciousness was slipping away from me. You know, as much as, this is like how a lot of suffering is the result of larger structures like feudalism, etc. It's still these people's fault. We can't forget about that. This is still just awful. I thought I could hear laughing and chattering, but it all passed through my ears as mere noise. Nothing I could make sense of. Stay with me is what he said to her as he was trying to care for her and trying to save her from exposure. Those are the words she woke up to. Amade. Oh, thank goodness you're awake. Wait, what was I just doing? Oh, right, I was in the forest on the verge of death. We almost lost verge of death, then Amade found me. We almost lost valuable manpower there. The difference. It went from, it's okay, you can take the house, we'll care for you, we all live together, it doesn't matter, everything will be good, to, we almost lost valuable manpower there. We were just discussing what to do about you, Giselle, and we decided to make you village proper. No, he didn't save me. If you agree to work for us, we'll put this whole nasty mess behind us. You may be worthless and feel entitled, but there's plenty you can help us with. What are you going to make me do? You like to get your hands dirty, and considering I found you half dead in the forest, I doubt the rest of you is any cleaner. Amade? Seems we've come to agreement. I'll keep watch over her starting today, to make sure she stays in line and doesn't steal anything else. Dirty stays in line? The way they're looking at me. They didn't have to spell it out. No, anything but that. Content warning for, sexual violence, because we're just gonna get suffering from our main characters for a while. Jesus Christ. Please have mercy. If you're begging for mercy, that means you know you've done something wrong. Let's see, there is one way, Giselle. What? Give back what you stole naturally. But if you're going to insist that's not possible, then bring us something of equal value. And if you can't do that, then your life belongs to the village. The men were cackling. They knew I couldn't do it, and they were enjoying watching me skirm. Take your pick, Giselle. Something of equal value? If I can get that, then it'll set me free. In that moment, a little bit of darkness bubbled in my heart. Something maleficent whispered in my ear. If you're in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. There's a village not far away from here. Trade it for food, then make your way to a larger town. I think I know where you can get something worth some money. The mansion in the forest has some fairly valuable furniture in it. Oh God, when did I become... You can steal some of that stuff for good money. Such a despicable woman. You mean the cursed mansion? You expect us to go there? Are you out of your mind? Anyone who goes near the house is killed by the witch's curse. There's no witch living there. There's no curse. Giselle, what do you know about that mansion? I lived there for a while. For a month. You... what? The son of a noble lives there. He's human and he's alone. A noble? What's the noble boy doing this far from the city? I presume he was banished there. I was sent to the mansion from the capital to act as service. There's plenty of value in that house. Shelves lined with books. There should be more than enough to pay the lords 5 years' worth of taxes. Is what you're saying true? I would not lie. As bewilderment spread through Amade's house, I was unable to look at anything but the floor. I couldn't stop trembling. To protect myself, I had sold out Michel. You swear there's just a single man living in that house? Yes, it's only him. Alright. If it turns out you're lying, you'll pay. Okay, everyone, you heard her. Tell all the young men to get ready. We're going up to the mansion in the forest. And just to be safe, make sure everyone brings something they can use as a weapon. And you, Giselle, you're coming with us. You'll be leading the way. Listen to me, don't think about trying to run. Right. On the cusp of springtime, I found myself trekking through the dreary forest I thought I would never set foot in again. How had I ended up here? How come I could never manage to avoid getting myself in these situations? And who would have guessed that my reason for return to the mansion would be diluted? I prayed for God to show me a little mercy and ensure Michel wasn't around. Though I knew the chances of that happening were almost zero. After several hours of walking, we broke through the thick woods and the mansion appeared before us. Like its surroundings, the house was bleak and uninviting. Even the midday sun seemed disinterested in shining its light upon it. Despite on the surface there not being much of anything impressive about it, the entire mob stood speechless before its overwhelming presence. But men had weapons, and they were fueled by avarice. Which gave them the courage to approach this place they wouldn't normally otherwise. The door won't open. I think it's barred from the inside. It would seem someone really does live in this cursed place. I'm honestly surprised. Even more so that it's not a witch, but just a noble. The door's old, we could just break it. Yeah, let's bust it down. Hold on, there's no need to be barbaric. Did you even consider knocking on the door like normal people? You sound like a band of thieves. Ha, that's something else coming from you. Who do you think proposed this plan, Giselle? You. Alright, man, you ready for lives of luxury? Break down that door. Stop it. It's the damn nobles who make our lives so hard. They deserve to be robbed. Break it. Break down the door. Please stop this. Break it down. Break it down. Break it down. Stop. She's already feeling guilty about what could potentially happen to Michel. All the repressed emotions detonated. They battered the door again and again and again, and in a few minutes' time, it was on the verge of collapse. They shouted and cheered and hooted like madmen, and my peaceful life came crumbling down around me. Growing lightheaded from the anxiety, I squeezed my eyes shut, unable to bear it any longer, when the deep groan of a door opening echoed through the forest. It would seem that you're not aware of whose house you're trying to break into. The world went silent, like time had come to a stop. No one could manage to say a word. They only stared at a man who appeared from within the mansion. Surely you know that this place is called. Beneath the dazzling midday sun, he had bone-chilling alabaster skin and long, nearly translucently pale hair. So surely you came prepared for whatever you would find. And his eyes were like two blazing infernos staring from across the mall. Also, look at this art of Michel. It's so good. It is so fucking good. A demon, someone muttered, probably unconsciously. He did indeed look like something out of this world. It's a demon. The rumors about this place were true. A cursed demon lives here. Demon, him, Michel? No, he's not cursed. Indeed, I am cursed. The witch's curse is real. I've inherited it in its entirety as well as her purpose. A witch, a demon, a spirit impure. Call me whatever you wish. For the truth shall not change. I carry within me an eternal curse. Behold, my flesh is pale as the moon. No red blood flows beneath the skin as it does yours. Behold my hair utterly devoid of color, offered up to the devil as part of our pact. Behold these crimson eyes, a symbol of the lifeblood spilt at my hands. I shall bring calamity upon you as the Witch of Legends. Never-ending famine, plague, catastrophe, suffering for generations. Until the moment of your death you shall regret ever coming near this place. No, have mercy. It was that woman, she brought us here, tempted us with promises of wealth. deceived us, told us to pillage us that we're innocent. Amade, please have mercy on us. Give her to me and as offering. Absolutely, she's yours. Torture her as ever you please. I have one more condition. You never come near this house again. If you so much as consider it, you will all die by my curse. I swear we won't return. Run, get out of here. Without so much as a glance back, the villagers scrambled into the forest, and Amade, the man who had rescued me that time, went right along with them. Is there kindness in this world? I wasn't sure what to think anymore. Don't think I'm helping you. His voice ran down me, but I couldn't lift my head. There was such a gaping void in my chest. I had no idea what questions I should be asking anymore. What I should be angry about. What I should be sad about. Not even the first clue. Look at me. Look at me, Giselle. Tell me, is this true that you returned the mansion to plunder it? That you brought those men here to rob me of my valuables? Answer me, Giselle. Yes, it's true. I persuaded them to steal from me. Are you really so desperate for money that you'd resort to looting? Just to how low will you go? Not only did you seduce my father, not only did you go digging around for information about me, you brought a mob to my house? And they were armed too. Were you trying to get me killed? Answer me, Giselle. Not even going to defend yourself? By the way, look at the dynamic posing on this fight. Your scheme failed, so you're retreating into silence? And for God's sake, you sicken me. Dear God, Giselle just cannot get a break. I'm done with you, I'm done. Leave this place and never show your face here again. As he shouted at me, I stared into his fiery red eyes, and a somewhat inappropriate thought crossed my mind. So he can get emotional like anyone else. And my heart stripped raw and cast out to sea, finally sunk deep enough to be crushed by the pressure. Me? What? If you want me gone, then kill me! You can do that, can't you? You can use your curse to kill me, can't you? Then do it right here, use your power, take my life. And if you don't want to do that, stab me with your knife. Kill me, kill me, kill me! What? What? I'm done, I can't take it. I'm through with this whole world. No one will believe anything I say. No one cares one bit about how I feel. They just walk all over me laughing. Why? Tell me why. Why is this happening to me? I never stole anything. What are you talking about? I tried my best to look happy. I thought everything would work out if I could keep smiling. I believed that would make things better. But now they never got better. What did I ever do? Tell me, what did I do? But you... All I ever did was believe. I tried my best to survive, to always wear smiles. But everything's going to be my fault. If I had to deal with that for the rest of my life, then I'm done. I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live in this world. Calm down, please. I don't follow what you're saying. My understanding is that you desired money, so you brought that mob. And before that, you used my phone. You wouldn't believe me if I told you the real story. You'll take your family's word over mine. You don't even have any idea what I went through. How hard it was to just keep myself together. What? I never wanted riches. All I wanted was a decent enough wage to allow my family to live comfortably. That's all I wanted, but that man, he used my family against me. He made me... forced me to... He raped me. What? Again and again, no matter how much I resist, he wouldn't stop again and again. He threatened me, beat me, cut me with the knife. Over and over again. What? My father raped you? No one would believe me. I did nothing wrong. You don't believe me either, do you? So I'm done. I don't want this body anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore. I can't take it anymore. Help me, please set me free. Kill me already. Use your curse and kill me. Give me a moment. I need time to process this. You can't do it, can you? Then kill me already. Kill me now. Kill me, damn it. Give me time. I need to talk this through. I want to hear everything from the beginning. Inside, let's go inside and talk. The light hurts my eyes. That was the door. I might have been best to let it stay shut. Not knowing the truth would have been so much easier. I would have been made to shudder in disgust, fearing about the crimes of my own family. But if I hadn't opened that door, I would have lost everything. That day, after far too long, I finally let myself see the person in Giselle. Giselle didn't recover for some time after I managed to get her inside. Unsure what else I could do for her. I had her sit before the fireplace and waited in silence as she sobbed. I have no idea what was one supposed to say to someone who was crying. Was it normal to offer them a warm drink? I didn't know. I did know that I need to reflect on things she said outside and try to make sense of them. And from there, calm myself down and prepare for the conversation we're to have. As unpleasant as I was sure it would be. A considerable amount of time later, Giselle sobbing through the sobs, an impressive silence stepping in to take its place. For far longer than was comfortable, the only sound we heard was the gentle crackling of the fire. I had to say something. I knew but what I didn't know was how to begin. I knew nothing about having an honest face-to-face discussion with someone about things we were thinking and feeling. But that didn't change anything. I had to do it. Even if down the road lay the truth I would be happier not seeing. Giselle, could you please tell me what you did what was done to you at my family's home? How you ended up coming to the mansion and what happened after you left. I would like to know everything from start to finish. Will you believe what I tell you? You never so much as gave me the time of day. And I very much doubt you will find what I have to say agreeable. Will you still believe me even then? Believe my word, a stranger's word, over your family or the people of the village? I cannot yet say. I must hear what you have to say to make that decision. I suppose that might be better than you saying you'll believe me unconditionally. Alright, I'll tell you everything. Just know that nothing I say is a lie. Understood. Giselle methodically recounted her tale for me. She told me how she accepted an offer from the Bollingers to work as an advocate to earn money for her family, of how my father Antonin had other plans for her, of the things he did to her. She spoke dryly, simply putting word to each event, one after the other. I had already seen how she felt deep down there, had heard her pain screams, which are undoubtedly genuine. I didn't think she was trying to deceive me. That was the sound of old wounds being torn open, and even I could see that. By the way, the name of this track is very familiar to me. It is Everybody is Crying. Or perhaps my own experiences were the ones that allowed me to see it. Regardless, I had realized too late. I should have seen it sooner. She described it all mechanically, to remain detached from what had happened to her, to protect herself. Of that I had no doubts. Still, the things she told me were almost unbearable, and had a difficult time accepting them. What was I supposed to do when I learned my father was a rapist? How was I supposed to react to that revelation? What was I supposed to think about the fact that his blood flowed through me? I repulsed myself. Do you want all the details? What do you mean? Of the wounds he gave me? I still have scars from the things he did. If you don't believe me, I can show them to you. No, that won't be necessary. I see. That's a relief. I don't think I could have handled that right now. I hadn't turned down her offer for her sake. I only did so because I didn't think I could take anymore. I averted my eyes to protect myself. Why had I taken my mother's word? Brushed aside everything Giselle had said and done. I knew good and well my mother was no longer in her right mind. So why had I thought her led of the truth? Why had I unable to think rationally? There were, I believe, several factors. My childhood, my past, the witch's whispers, and above all, my own character. Consumed with distrust for everything. I had to face it now. To open my eyes once more, to look at everything I had pretended away until now. I was not completely blameless for her suffering after all. Please continue, if you will. I left off at the point where the mistress discovered what was happening, I believe. I was sent to this mansion to atone for my sins. Sins that she didn't even commit. It was decided I would be sent here rather than being executed, which is what the mistress wanted. At first I assumed to be essentially a private prison. But in the carriage on the way there, I was given a letter. A letter from whom? It didn't say, but your father was the one who ordered me here, so I would guess it was him. The letter was very concise, simply explaining that there was someone already there. The Bollinger's youngest child. It didn't go into any more detail than that. But it did ask me to look after you. Do you still have the letter? I don't. The coachman took it back after I was finished. Thinking back on now, that was rather strange of him to do. It was just a harmless letter. It was anything but. What? It wasn't my father who wrote that letter. He believes me to be dead, so he sincerely thought he was banishing you to an empty house in the remote forest. The writer couldn't risk leaving anything that might suggest I was still alive. Then who? My brother, I believe. Either Didier or George. Would that be Georg at this point in time, considering it's France? George, or is it George at this point? Hey Mosca, do you incidentally know the proper pronunciation of George in around 1080? Well, oh no, the pronunciation of George changed a lot, because I know it's like George at some point. It was also Georg, which kind of explains the spelling a bit, but yeah. But I would guess Didier. Your brother? Why would he? I do not know. I can't imagine he would write such a letter. Or why would he want to tell you about me? I don't believe he had any ill intentions, at least. I guess he asked me to look after you. That makes it sound like he's concerned about you. Then why doesn't he stay in contact? Why does he never respond to my letters? It's a bit late to suddenly struck me concern. Yep. No, never mind that now. Please tell me the rest. Alright. Giselle resumed her story from the day she fled the mansion, terrified by my behavior. She seemed to be putting a bit more emotion into her voice now. Perhaps she could see I was more interested in this part. There was a deep sadness on her face as she described the night in the rain, listening to thunder when she gave up on living. And I knew I had caused it. She then told me of the time she spent at the nearby village. How at first, life had seemed wonderful, but in time it had come crumbling down. Naturally, she wouldn't be here to tell me that nothing had happened there. When she was through with her tale, Giselle let out a long, heavy sigh, as though she was holding it in for some time. I thought I could hear just a faint trembling of the air as she exhaled. That is everything. Do you believe me? If you don't, if you still think I'm deceiving you, then I won't argue with you. That's fine. If that's the case, please just kill me. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? I know I wasn't very open to it, he said, but if that day, when I found you in my room, you had told me I was mistaken, that sin belonged to my family, it might not have turned out like this. The knife. What? You were holding a knife! I can't handle blades anymore. Ever since what happened, they scare me to death. Just the sight of one in someone's hand. I started thinking they're going to use it on me. I can't help it. I started shaking uncontrollably, growing faint of breath. The world goes white. I can't even form words. There's nothing I can do. I finally see. She was grimacing in pain. The day the package arrived when you knocked my hand away. Because I was scared. Because it reminded me of that time. I'd assumed she was simply jumping for a guilty conscience. I felt nauseous, realizing I'd poured a constant stream of salt onto her unmendable wounds. What a damned fool I was. Why did you get so upset at me? Why did you have to point a knife at me? I didn't want you snooping. If you meant to tell information about me, I thought I had to do anything in my power to stop you. I'm still not convinced it was necessary. I was unarmed. I couldn't fight back. You didn't need a knife. I have nothing left anymore, so I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. You're a jerk. What you did was inexcusable. You may not have hurt me physically, but you still hurt me. Humans are frail creatures that wound easily. Apologize. What? Apologize to me. I said apologize. I'm sorry. Again, put your heart into it. Convince me you mean it. I'm sorry. Again, once more, get down on your knees and shout it from your gut. I am so very sorry. Was that a laugh? Jeez, you're such a strange man. Strange you told me to do it. Nothing's going like I thought it would. I figured even if we talked, you would just deny everything I said. I didn't think you'd actually listen to me. But you did, you listened. And you looked quite distressed by what you heard. I looked distressed? Oh yes, you sure did. I wish I had a mirror to show you. I'm sure you don't want to believe what I said, but you didn't want to accuse me of lying. You faced up to the truth and you apologized. I seem to have had the wrong impression of you as well. I didn't try to see you for who you were instead of letting myself believe you were someone to be afraid of. To be honest, I didn't like you very much. The feeling was mutual. For some reason I don't feel that way now. Is it guilt? I need to apologize to you two. Apologize for what? I led the villagers here. I almost sold my soul to the devil. I tried to sell you out to save myself. And for that I'm truly sorry. I don't understand. What, do I need to get down on my knees to you? No, that's not what I meant. The blame falls on the village for falsely accusing you of stealing. You were a convenient scapegoat for the real thieves. They planned to take advantage of you from the start. That Amade was probably in on it as well, to get back to you for rejecting his proposal. Plus, giving the villagers a single target to let out the frustrations on would in a way help unify them. He used you to meet that end. In order to escape from their trap, you told them about me. But this was after I threatened you, causing you to flee from this place. You have nothing to apologize for. Still, I still really feel bad about it. So I'm sorry anyway. You're unexpectedly stubborn. But now that we both apologize to each other, we can call everything square. Square? Square. We're both in the wrong, so we apologize if we forgave each other. She gave a little smile, but all I could do was stare at her, brow furrowed in perplexity, like I was looking at some bizarre fantasyland creature. The weight of her crimes was not equal. What I had done to her was so much worse. Furthermore, I'm Antonin's son. His blood flows through me. Can you honestly say you don't find me revolting? That you're willing to forgive me, in fact? I didn't think I would be able to. If I were her, my grudge would extend to all my family. Everything I had ever come in contact with. I can. Although you don't need forgiveness for being a son. Being related to someone doesn't make you responsible for your sins. It wouldn't be fair to blame you for that. You're curious. What, curious about what? No, not that curious. You're a strange creature. I'm human, you know? Yes, I know you're human. You're making me lightheaded. Is it a medical emergency? That's quite the leap in logic. Yeah, like, once again, everything in the story has layers on layers on layers. Every little feeling they've shown, every little way they've dealt with things, or talked their way through things, or thought about things, is, like, informed by their characters so heavily. It gives you so many insights. It's really wonderful writing, actually. You know, I was at the lowest just a little bit ago, and now I'm laughing again. It's odd. I never expected to recover at all. I was just as surprised as her. She had been through hell, and she had more than enough reason to despise me, to shower me with vitriol, but instead she was smiling. And even more unexpected was the fact that I felt relieved to see it. I really truly wish I'd gotten to know him sooner. Sometimes you end up laughing, or like, even when things are just really bad. And it doesn't make them better, and you might feel good for a little bit, and then it goes away. But sometimes sometimes your feelings wash away in, like, for a little while in just the most surprising ways. It's really strange like that. Not to tell him the truth. Maybe he would have listened. I had my little initial impression of solidify too quickly. I could convince myself he was insensitive and perpetually expressionless, save for that arctic stare. But the man standing before me did experience sadness, pain, and distress, or the very least he appeared to from where I was standing. Michel was just like me, an ordinary person. That's it, there was still plenty I didn't know. I was still lacking explanations for much of his behavior. Would you mind telling me about yourself now? I'd like to get to know you better. What are you doing here in this mansion all alone? Why do you call yourself cursed? I told you everything. It's only fair you do the same. I have no interest in using your information for anything. I have no reason to. Or are you going to keep pushing the master servant line? Do you still think I have no need to know? Be quiet, for the love of God, stop talking already. You always pick the worst time. What? Excuse me, what do you mean I always pick the worst time? No, I wasn't. Unbelievable, just when I was starting to think you might actually be a decent human being. Then you go spout this. No, Giselle, I wasn't talking to you. Who else could have been? I was talking to you now. I have a condition that forces me to vocalize objection to my own thoughts. You know, that's about as convincing as my allergic to people excuse. Sorry. Weirdo. What crosses did he bear? What secrets did he keep? Maybe the truth was far beyond my reckoning. And if it was, even if he did, please tell me everything. No matter what you say, I won't doubt your words. I will trust you, and I'm sure I can accept anything you say. Please, if you don't put it into words, I have nothing to work with. Okay. Where should I start, though? How about the curse, then? Are you actually cursed? That's a difficult question. I cannot, for example, take someone's life with my curse, nor can I bring about disaster. I don't have any magical powers like that. So what you said outside was a bluff, then? It's just a way to chase the villagers away. Well, you still have to put on a convincing performance. So you can't actually curse anyone, huh? Regardless, I'm human. Nothing more, nothing less. At least I consider myself one. Others would disagree. The reason for that has to do with my body. Your skin, hair, and eye color, right? Right. See, Michel under the sun, he certainly wasn't what most people would consider normal. Awe-inspiring, in fact. Giving birth to be broke my mother. No, I drove her mad. Not only do I appear inhuman, I'm oversensitive to sunlight. While a little light through the window is much problem, I can't be outside directly in the sun for more than a couple hours. When she realized I couldn't go out in the sun, my mother started to think I was possessed by a demon. So she banished me to this mansion until my curse was broken. That was 10 years ago. Just because you look different from them? The family's reputation was at stake too. If all the noble house realized they were giving refuge to an unholy creature, it would destroy the Bollingers. You saw how the villagers reacted? They called me a demon when they saw me. I suspect the rumor about the mansion was played a part in that. If nobody thought the house was cursed, they wouldn't have. I'm sure you were afraid as well. You saw me and thought I was not of this world, that I looked like a demon. I thought you looked like an angel. A what? I at least thought you looked more like an angel than a demon. It never once crossed my mind that you might be evil. I understand your situation now. Because of your appearance, you lived all alone in this dark mansion for 10 years. It was never really an inconvenience. They bring me all the supplies I need. You big liar. Have you never considered running away? That's not an option. Because of the sun? No, I could move during the night if I really wanted to. I'm being watched, to ensure I don't leave. Watched? They can't allow anyone to find out that I'm alive. Particularly at the Bollinger estate. If I were to run and they were to find out, I would probably be killed. If only I didn't stand out too much, I'd be able to stay out of sight easier. But also, I had been holding on to a little hope, I think. Hope that I might be able to return someday. I have all but given up that hope now. Now that I have enough willpower to really fight for it. I see. You don't need to worry about pitying me either. It's long since become normal to me. That's not something that should ever become normal. So what was that really a moment ago? You don't actually have a condition that makes you argue with yourself, do you? Please tell me. You don't have to believe me. In fact, I doubt you will. You're free to think I'm completely mad. Don't worry, I want to know. I can hear the witch's voice. The witch's voice? It started when I first arrived at the mansion. No one else can hear it, though, either. Like I said, it sounds crazy. Not at all. I said I would trust you, so I believe you. Maybe he's not well. Yeah, that has to be it. 10 years all alone in one place and you're bound to start hearing things. He seems like a delicate person too. Think about it like that. I'm starting to feel really sorry for him. Do I want to know what you're thinking? I'm here for you. Huh? I've made up my mind. I'm going to stay here with you. Wait, what? Don't worry, I'll shout so loud you won't be able to hear that silly witch's voice anymore. Will you now? If you hear it again, let me know, understood? You don't have to be afraid. I never said I was. Whenever you hear it, I'll be there with you holding your hand. Well, we kind of took the extremely long route, but there you have it. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Master. Master? Now where should we begin? I know supper. Are you hungry? What should I make? Slow down, please. What is it? If there's something you like, I'm happy to accommodate. You're actually intent to stay here again? After what happened last time? Because of what happened. Because of that, we're finally able to see past each other's surface. I wanted us to try again from the beginning. This time I actually try to be considerate for one another's feelings. That's a promise, Master. All right. I can stay here, right? I don't mind. I'm glad to hear it. Say, yes, Master. If you ever want something from me, could I please ask you to put it into words? I don't have much faith in my ability to pick up on things. Got it. Then there's something to start with. What do you say we open some of these windows? Open the windows? Yeah, we don't have to do it if you think it'll cause you problems, but it'd be nice to get a little light. I like to put an end to that being a dark, closed-off cave. I wasn't the one who barred the windows. You weren't? They were like that when I arrived. It made it seem like a very appropriate place to walk me away. Well, I'm sensitive light, as I mentioned. A little sun through a window shouldn't cause any problems. Alright then, can I ask you to help me open them? Let's both lighten this place up. After a few moments of silence, Michel gave me a curt nod. While we couldn't do anything about the windows that had been boarded up, the two of us forced open the ones that were just covered by rusted over shutters. When we first got the first one open, a beautiful stream of light like nothing I'd ever seen before. Flooded into the dark mansion's halls. I'd assumed the spring would never come. All we had to do was talk to each other, listen to each other, and everything else would fall into place. But it was the first step that was so hard. So much harder than either was had expected. And now that ice was melting, we had to treasure that. It might not have seemed like much to someone else, but to us it was a huge accomplishment. This time it'll all work out. It has to. I had all the confidence in the world when we were together, but now that I'm alone in the dark, in the absolute silence of the night, I'm starting to get anxious again. Starting to feel like something bad is going to happen. Like I'm going to mess something up again. We took a big step today, and I know I have to keep it together, to keep things thinking positive. She won't let herself. Think about it. The goods you're after, Giselle, are not cheap. Understood. Thus saith the Lord of Hosts, the woman hath committed 3 sins. She has betrayed her she's lied, she has stolen, she betrayed her fellow man. It's alright, it's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of, Giselle. Whatever happens, you have to hold fast your faith in the goodness of others. You have no reason to tremble. Yes, come in. That's odd. I don't think I was hearing things. There's no one here. There, what was that about? Oh, a glass? It's wine and it's so warm. I guess he heated it on the fire for me. Oh, you could have at least said hi. I have a feeling this is going to work out. The light shining in through the windows is swallowed whole by the darkness, as if to say our time together never actually existed. We saw it, though. Together we watched the light crack open the darkness. I'm begging you, please remember. Please find yourself. Please, Giselle, don't let things you felt, the warmth that fell over us, remain lost to you. I might have seen it. Seen the most beautiful light. Giselle. But are those truly my memories? Could they not be someone else's too? Like all the others we've seen so far? She was so bright and energetic, and I'm neither of those. I'm not her anymore. Besides, the mate needs not a tale of her own. This is not a story. These are memories. Mine and your memories, no one else's. It was all very much real. As were the kinder, happier days that came next. Kinder, happier days. Those words creep a strange warmness within my chest. But at the same time, they make me incredibly anxious, indescribably anxious. Is there really happiness to be found down that road? Even if our past doesn't lead to happiness, it couldn't be worse than where we are now. Come, Giselle, to the spring that made us more than just strangers. Master, come on, get up. Up with you. Master! What? See what did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Morning? Wait a sec. Don't want you hide under your bedspread. Get out of there. I'm fine with my room staying dark. What's she even doing in here? Oh, but Master, you agreed that I could open the windows. I did, yes. Don't worry, I put up the curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best part of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of the birds, the swing of the trees. Am I being pushy as I feel right now? Kind of. But you wouldn't be you if you weren't, so for now I won't get you on here about it. Also, now that your real intentions, no, never mind. Completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. What did you think of me? Let's see, I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible. But I'm beginning to get a better idea. You're trying to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a really short temper and can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality too. There's not a single good trait on that list. No, hear me out. That's not everything. You give me the chance to talk and you listen intently. You can be kind of nice too. See... We agreed that we'd live together, not just the same house, so we got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me too. This is just the beginning after all. We've got a long time ahead of us. Plan out to get to know each other now. Let's not waste any time then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to do before? Where should we begin? Oh, I know. We could get this place cleaned up. You want to clean? Oh, now that's an actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust. All over the place. My vision was still slightly unfocused, having not completely escaped from Morpheus' embrace, but I could see well enough to catch her smiling brightly. That was the first time I got a good look at her in the light. I could see the facial features I missed during yesterday's commotion, and those glittering eyes. Not even a trace of the tribulation had endured taint her purity. She's surprisingly good looking. I'm clearly not myself right now. Is something the matter, Master? I know, you're still half asleep, aren't you? I guess I'm just gonna have to throw my best bucket of water on you. What is a best bucket of water? I'm awake. Is there something on my face then? Just far too amusing a sight to wake up to. Amusing? Oh, just get out of bed already. What a noisy morning. I got my first decent look in Michel's face under the light that morning. watching him stifle a yawn as he crawled out of bed. All the little details I hadn't been able to pick up on in the darkness, his expressions, mannerisms, and the way he looked at me. I could see the facial features I'd missed during yesterday's commotion, and those vivid, all-consuming red eyes. I was probably, no, almost certainly, making a really dumb face at him. Is it just me, or is he kind of, no, very pretty? How could I have not noticed until now? Oh wow, jeez, I can't look him in the eyes. Yes, what can I do for you? Is there something on my face? What? No, Ha. Hair monster. Oh, excuse me? No, your hair, it's really long. Like, way too long. Oh, is that any way servants speak to her master? I'm just kidding. I don't have any interest in holding your status against you anymore. I see. It's really hard to tell if he's joking or not. So, about that cleaning. May I wash my face first? What, you're going to help? As I just said, I'm not going to act like I'm superior to you anymore. What are you snickering about? I can't help it, I'm happy. If my hair really does bother you, you can cut it. I can cut it? Oh, of course, I'll give you the best haircut you've ever had. Oh, but I should warn you, you'll want to stay perfectly still. I'm a monster with a pair of scissors. My sisters always said you were as likely to lose an ear as you were hair whenever I cut it. Oh, you stay away from me. Lot of happy fun times going on here. I was shocked at how much more comfortable I felt around her only one day following our opening up to each other. Maybe this was normal and I had simply never felt it before. I didn't know. I had thought it would take years of work to get close enough to someone to be able to have a conversation without picking apart every little detail. But here I was, a day later, already there. Was that how it usually worked? Did people normally get close and draw apart so freely? I didn't find it unpleasant to have someone else around. It was a strange feeling. All the friction had dissipated in an instant. And it was like we had known each other for years. Though not entirely willingly, we began sharing meals, something I'd always done by myself. Hey, I see you shoving inside that parsnip. You need to eat everything. Do you have any idea why there's so much rotting parsnips in the cellar? I don't care for it. You could at least pretend to be ashamed. Yeesh, you're not a kid, so don't be so picky. It's not good for you. Poor Michelle. Michelle has not socialized in probably more than 10 years. Hasn't caused any problems thus far. It will soon enough. I can't believe you. We have limited supplies and you won't eat your vegetables? Oh, question, I've got an idea. Go on. Is the list of supplies sent by your family set in stone? Meaning? I was wondering if it's possible to make requests. If I could, I would go out to get on a shopping trip. Perish the thought. The only village around here is the one you came from. Right. Say, are you saying that out of concern for me? Who would ever be concerned about you? I just want to be able to sleep well at night. And I'm not interested in throwing more servants to lions. You know, you're a whole lot simpler person than I first thought. What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. About your question about the delivery, yes, you can. I haven't made any requests recently, but you can write what you want on a sheet of parchment. Or if you don't have any, something similar, put it in a box and leave it outside. As long as your request is not completely unreachable, it should arrive with the next package. Why, is there something you need? Yeah, I was hoping to increase your selection of vegetables. And while I'm at it, if possible, actually that's a secret. A secret? It's nothing too exciting. I'll tell you when the time is right. It gives both top and bottom energy growth line, it gives both Kimbo and Neat energy boyfriend. They contain multitudes. But I like them a lot. And they have issues, they have problems, and their relationship is still kind of fucked underneath the surface. But they're trying. They're really trying now. My relationship with Michel gradually transitioned from master and servant to something closer friends. He was still my master, but he allowed me almost complete freedom, and he didn't order me around to him, and even gave me a hand with my work. Though he was still not very talkative and oftentimes hard to read, he at least seemed to be making an effort to close the gap. He would on occasion tell me about himself, though not in much detail, and any time his family came up, he grimaced uncomfortably. Apparently his father had wanted him dead. His brothers, though, had worked to create a scenario in which he could live, faking his death and sending him to this remote mansion. I had never encountered Michel's brothers at his family's estate, but assuming he was right, and it was one of them who'd given me the letter, they were likely our only allies at that house. I didn't know what he's thinking. It's been 10 years, Michel had muttered, to which I had replied, have faith. It was better to feel and believe in something, even if it felt silly and unreasonable, than to lose faith in everything. My being able to find renewed belief in the kindness of people was allowed me to start smiling again after all. Because I was able to have that faith, I was able to enjoy life once more. It wasn't an exciting or thrilling life. It was humble, simple one with just the two of us. But I wouldn't trade that life for anything. Some people might think it dull or dreary, but it was ours. Master, I really truly appreciate that you want to help with cooking, I do, but this is apocalyptic. This is mutinous. This is an affront to gastronomy. This is unearthly disgusting. Give me better ingredients. What? I'm not that bad a cook. These are simply bad ingredients. If they were better, they would taste just fine boiled. It is not as bad as you claim besides. You make a mockery of the culinary arts. I've been eating this for years. I don't see the problem. I've heard quite enough, Master. It sounds like I'm going to need to put your taste buds through some intense rehabilitation. I have to teach him what real food tastes like. Otherwise, I won't be appreciated if I make him something really good. Hold the chair steady for me, will you? I'm going to wipe down the top shelf. I can handle it. I'm tall enough to read without standing on a chair. It's not as simple as running a rag over it. I gotta practice, so let me take care of it, alright? There's a lot more dust than expected. Probably should have used something to cover my mouth. You're gonna have to hold your breath for this, Master. Alright, here goes. She's quite practiced. Is there any need for me to hold this chair? What? Hold the chair. Ow! I'm so sorry, I didn't think there'd be that much dust. Thank you for holding the... Master? Your hand is, What? Your hand is, it's on my, chest. It was an accident? Right, it was, it's fine really, it's my fault. It's completely, totally fine. I can't even look her in the eyes. Could this be any more painfully awkward? They did the anime. They did the shitty anime thing. Yay. Honestly, I shouldn't be apologizing for suggesting that. That's easier said than done. I have to do something with stuff that for its only moment, I barely even realized what's the issue. I need some clever way to brush all this aside. Something witty that tells her I'm not bothered at all. I'm not concerned. In fact, I see no reason to be concerned at all. It felt like I was squeezing in a piece from... Hey, Mosca. Evie, you guys remember how we were talking about how Mel had no game? This makes Mel look suave. I hardly even perceived his breast. An obese rat. An obese rat. What? How utterly insensitive can you be? I'm going to rip every last hair off your head. I'll leave my hair out of this. Say, Master, what did you do all this time by all of your stuff? That's an exceedingly vague question. Say, when you were really, really stupidly bored out of your mind, what would you do to keep yourself occupied? Meditate? Just how many times have you reached enlightenment? I sometimes play chess too. Chess? Wait, by yourself? Yes, I imagine how an opponent might react to my moves, and I play the other side that way. That's kind of depressing to think about. How about this, Master? Play a game with me. Do you know the rules? You bet I do. I do come from family merchants, so I keep up with trends and know all sorts of games. Put your bets in. Who's better at chess, Michelle or Giselle? Oh. Prepare to meet your maker. So, who was I supposed to prepare to meet again? Oh, come on, have a little mercy. You trounced me. One more time. I wasn't at the top of my game. When am I going to meet this maker? When did you put me in checkmate? One more. Hold on, that's not fair. Take it back. Oh, my king. Please stop. Amateur. Can't you just go a little bit easy? You never asked me to go easy. This isn't a game, this is a slaughter. This is a one-sided massacre. About this maker. I'm looking right at him. That was actually kind of fun. No, it wasn't. It was miserable. Next time we're playing something fair. Such as... let's see. Ooh, I know. Arm wrestling. Arm wrestling? Yeah, you sit across from each other, you put your elbows on the table, grab hands, and see who can pin the other down. Who would ever willingly participate in such primitive competition? Not interested then, or are you afraid you might lose? Alright then. I can't imagine losing to a woman. Okay, elbow on the table. Start on my count. Ready, go. Victory! That matchup is cancer. And that is how Michelle died. That face is very good. With each passing day, it grew less and less unusual having Giselle always at my side. I began more freely engaging in silliness, speaking my mind and showing emotion. I could say her name and Giselle would turn around and smile me, an unimaginable sight not long ago. For 10 years I had lived alone. Solitude had been my normal. But that was rapidly changing into our hands. We were continually getting closer, yes, but not in a romantic sense. If I had described, I would say good friends was probably the most apt. Time continued to press on, our relationship remaining relatively stable. Eventually summer came, bringing with it the longest period of sunlight I had experienced in many years. Then the leaves began falling from the trees, and before long the world grew cold and dreary. That winter the fireplace was never without a crackling blaze in its belly. The boiled wine we drank was undoubtedly middling and cheap. But she said with a smile, I've never had wine this good before. And though I didn't say anything, I felt the same way. The sun set much earlier, and having stopped using candles, we found ourselves habitually gathering around the fireplace when it grew dark. Oh, reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes you feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? And that's why the troubadours perform in pubs. Troubadours perform in pubs so they can be near the fire. Or because there's ale. Drunkenness makes even bad singing story pleasant to the ears. Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Are you talking about the reading scene because you get those with Yuri? Just right next to each other together? you're right, Mosca, but also, like, those characters in particular, even, they, how would I put this? Like, I have feelings about Doki Doki where it's like, it's not bad and it does some things good, but yeah, it's specifically playing with those, like, archetypes and then trying to staple all an emotion, because it's those really, supremely shallow, like, dating sim archetypes that I had a problem with. And particularly some of the conversations with Monica, like, basically just express the author's view on, like human interaction and, like, how many, dating sims don't do that. And the thing is, most VNs, when you actually know, that aren't just, purely for the specific horny fetish, are incredibly just story-based, right? And, like, they give a shit about the characters. And sometimes those characters aren't great or stuff, but it's lambasting a sort of, not genuineness that I feel is not really representative of most fans. And it does, one thing it does do is play with some of those ideas really well, and, issues that people do have, until Monica, hyper exaggerates them, to, like, make you try to hate the characters. Which in itself is a really weird thing, because it implies the issues the characters have are ways of Monica trying to hit them with. It feels sort of cheap in discussing it, sort of. See, most VNs are, as with most stuff, are not great, but that's also I'm a grumpy person who doesn't like things, but the thing is, if you think of most media, most media is not going to be either something you enjoy, it's something you think is particularly good at engaging, but it's same as everything else, where there's just, like, a treasure to a wild thing. And most people, when they start writing, as with most art, they come from a place of genuinely wanting to create something or make something. Maybe it's even, like, a pride thing, or there's just something they want to express, or a million reasons, but there is generally a genuine sincerity, even in, Yeah, this is completely disconnected from... Well, it's not completely disconnected from stereotypes, because we just saw it doing them. But yes, this feels very different and has a very different tone. But once you start looking at most things, it's like manga, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of lowest common junk where, authors, sometimes they just gotta do that, right? But, there's still just a vast variety of things that just play with things in however different ways and whatnot, right? Yes, this one not. I think I mentioned before, I've said, basically the strongest VNs I've played, in terms of story writing characters, are up with there were some of the strongest novels I've read. Yes. Do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Oh, please don't tell me you're bringing the Beast Rat incident back up. No, not that, before that. Before we could actually talk to each other. I believe I suggested we read something together if you ever felt the inclination. You might have. Can't say I remember. Are you sure about that? You turned down my proposal saying I was wasting my time. But look, it actually happened. Even if you don't remember, I'm sure you never thought this moment would come. By the way, I think you might have seen that during SK's stream, Mosca, where on one of when she was just looking at creepypastas, where I suggested the one written by the Doki Doki literature author, which was about the girl who just chose to kill someone and tried to choose the person she would find people would miss the least, and it was actually a bunch of good writing and awful, and just going for complete shock factor. And it was. I'm just, anyway, back to this. The important stuff. I was, for the most part, focused on making sure things didn't get any worse between us. But to be honest, I didn't expect there would ever come a time where we'd actually sit shoulder to shoulder and read a book. You never know how things might pan out. I actually do remember. I remember how I tried to push her away, how much I mistrusted her. I was nothing but hostile toward her. People change. And perhaps if they can, so can the future. Maybe I can hope that, like our friendship, there's a chance the future might take a turn for the better. Is something the matter? I don't much care for hypotheticals, but if by some chance I were someday to be able to return to that house, should that time come, that house is home to her nightmares. Even if it didn't happen until after my father was gone, I wouldn't erase what it had done to her there. Gee, I say nothing's wrong with that. I don't know. Have her wounds healed, or do they still remain? Should that time come? Should that time come, if that day comes, I will do what I can to ensure you have a comfortable life in the city. Though I'll not be able to inherit the estate, I can work something out. I see. Thank you very much. But, if you'd be comfortable doing so, I would be pleased if you were to join me. I mean as a servant. As a servant? Yes, as a servant. Where I'm short on hands. I see, a servant. Do I really need to repeat myself? Yes, as a servant. Alright, sure, I think I will. I'd like to accompany you, master. How exciting. I'm sure a wonderful future awaits us. I pray so. Now back to the story. I believe we had just gotten to the point where the knight set out to beat the monster and save the princess. I bet he was a big, buff, muscular knight. Let's not talk about how muscular he was. She left out a gentle laugh, and I thought I smelled something sweet on her breath. Was there a scent, or perhaps just in my imagination? I had no way of knowing. We sat so close, even the slightest shift seemed sufficient to allow me to hear the sound of her heartbeat, causing mine to accelerate. Curiosities flooded my mind, and what might she be thinking right now? What did she think about me? And as much as I tried to banish them, I frustratingly failed. I was just getting caught up in the moment. I had just briefly lost my way. Though I could try to convince myself otherwise, it was all in vain. When had my pulse gotten so rapid? When had my skin gotten so flushed? When, how, why was this happening to me? I thought I had learned my lesson about having feelings for someone else. Before long, winter retreated and our second spring came to take its place. A full year had passed since we had resumed living together, and I don't think it's my imagination that this year felt much warmer than the last. Spring seemed to have arrived a bit earlier than in previous years. One night when the breeze carried on it a pleasant residual warmth, Giselle escorted me out to the garden. Come on, master, hurry up. It's the middle of the night, what's so important? I just found it myself. I couldn't wait until morning. A rose, it blossomed. A rose. Giselle handed over the pasture, cleaned up the nest of weeds that had been strangling the garden. Off to the side, a small plot of turned swell swayed in the wind beneath the moonlight, and was a single red rose. When did you? Last year I requested flower seeds, but I just couldn't get them to grow, and I was starting to think they never would. But look, it's only one, but it did. I had no idea. Of course you didn't, I didn't tell you. Why would you keep it from me? I wanted to make a gift for you, master. What? Why? Roses make wonderful gifts, supposedly. No, that's not what I meant. Why me? I haven't given you anything. Consider it a symbol of my hope that we'll still be this close another year from now. If we are, then this is yours. I don't follow her reasoning. I don't follow at all, but the sight of the deep red rose almost melting in the dark night was perhaps the most wondrous thing I'd ever seen in my life. I had never understood why some people found flowers so enchanting. They were all just plants to me, but that one, on that night, was undeniably beautiful, majestic. And like a young child seeing a flower for the very first time, my hand automatically reached for it. Not knowing the proper way to appreciate flowers, I didn't generally caress its petals or take in its fragrance, but snapped its stem. Oh, you picked it. Are you going to bring it back to your room? When I finally processed her question, that was when I realized I probably should have left it to grow at the garden. In the place of the stem where I plucked it, a droplet succumbed to gravity and fell to the earth. With it came the delayed realization that I had ended the plant's life. But it was overpowered by childish possessiveness. This stunning flower was mine. Moonlight trickled down from the heavens, giving a gentle bluish tint to my hands and the smile on her face. You're going to need a vase then. I'll give it just a minute. For the briefest moment, the moonlight must have played a trick on my mind. Huh? Master? What on earth am I doing? A look of bewilderment filled Giselle's face, just inches from mine, which hammered in the reality of what I had just done. The thought had just crossed my mind that perhaps her black hair might prove a good backdrop for the rest, but it was supposed to remain just a simple fancy. What was that about? An excuse. I need a good excuse. Drawing. A drawing? Right, I would like to preserve it on canvas. What? I mean, that rose on its own does not make a very compelling picture, so I'd like to include you as an accessory. Wait, do you want to draw me too? Merely as a background element. You're slightly more interesting than a boss, that's all. the accidental game that you've managed to ruin. I've never seen you draw anything before. I just never got the urge. You know how? Many years ago, my brother taught me. I don't think I can handle being a model. I've never had a drawing done of me before. You would probably be better off with just a rose. You gave it to me, didn't you? That means I'm free to do with that as I please. I did. I didn't mean to sound so rude. I had no real interest in drawing the rose. But I couldn't just take it back at her. Giselle had shrunk back quite visibly, and I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes. So I fled to the cellar in search of supplies to escape the oppressive awkwardness. By the way, drawing another person is actually not very sexy at all. It is very awkward and takes a lot of time. Also, life drawing where they're naked, you just phase that out and you just stare at a bunch of different naked people and you're just like, yeah. Oh no, I'm not getting the motion quite right and figure need the weight in my posture sketches. So is it, Mosca? Just wanna get turned into stone, huh? Just want a big Gorgon lady to turn you into stone. Okay. Fair. I believe you. At the far wall, I found a rectangular pan of wood and several sticks, a charcoal. To be melted down by a slime lady as she does things to me, and then fused together into like one being. The joy, the sheer joy. My materials were obviously nothing compared to what a court artist might use, but I was clearly not going to be able to do the portrait any kind of justice. God, what am I doing? I just want to bury my head in the sand. Sublimation GFs are good. We are pro sublimation in this stream. Giselle was waiting for me in the stained glass chamber. It seemed she was still as uncomfortable as when I had left her. She gave me a fleeting glance before inverting her gaze again. If only she would laugh or make a scene like usual. It'd make things so much easier. Why did she have to choose now to start acting meek? What should I be doing? Stay perfectly still, please. Do you need me to pose or anything? No, just get comfortable. Look away. Why? It's hard to work when you're watching me. What? If I feel like I have to sneeze, hold it in, please. What now? Can I see it? I've barely drawn anything yet. Oh. As long as her eyes didn't meet, I was able to observe her, and my gaze was quite clearly not focused on the rose. But Giselle, I first had regretted my in-the-moment proposition, but I was beginning to think I hadn't been such a bad idea. Without some sort of pretext, I would have never been able to examine her so intently. I didn't have that kind of courage. This isn't like me. But what was like me? Did I prefer being sharp-talked, unapproachable recluse? Was that what I wanted to survive for? Giselle was like a gale. Her mere presence dispersed the gloomy cloud that had always hovered around me. Thinking about it, it's practically a miracle that we ever ended up so comfortable around each other, that she's still here right now. Light from the moon spilled through the stained glass window, taking on a multitude of pale tones, before falling on her white skin and jade eyes. I had stopped sketching at some point. What in the world was going on? One of my roses finally bloomed, which but I thought it would put a smile on Michel's face. But rather than improve his mood, it made him go all strange. If I made him say he wanted to draw something. I'd never seen Michel draw anything before. Oh, I can't still. I tried to sneak peeks of him every once in a while, but anytime our eyes met, he gave me a stern look that way instead. So I ended up spending a whole lot of time looking at the Archangel's stained glass window. What could he be thinking? Could this be thanks for the rose? I'm pretty sure he's not the type who'd consider drawing an expression of gratitude, though. If I'm wrong about that, it'll turn my whole world upside down. Maybe he wanted to draw me. No, not possible. That would turn the world upside down even faster. He couldn't. We're close to be sure, but we're not that kind of close. That makes it sound like Michel's attracted to me? And there's no way. There's absolutely no way. He compares me to a beast rat and calls me an amateur chess, laughing while he crushes me. So that's not what this is it? Oh yes? If it's too much trouble, you're free to leave. This will take a very long time to complete. Oh no, no trouble. You had a very stern look on your face is all. I was doing that bad a job at hiding. I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want. It was foolish of me to ask you, I'm sorry. Honestly, it's no trouble, I mean it. You just took me by surprise, that's all. I'm not even that great of an artist to begin with. That's not a talent of his, bless me. If I'm being honest with myself, I can't imagine anyone would be pleased to have bad art drawn of them. What is he getting so negative about? I wasn't the only one making a face. His head was turned slightly downward, a forlorn shimmer in his eyes. I had never seen him make that face before. He resembled a child who'd just been scorned by his mother. I wasn't all angry or displeased with him. I was just fine, honestly. I had to get that through to him. I am pleased. It doesn't matter how it turns out. You drew it for me, Master. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. But the moonlight shining through the stained glass was so enchanting. I lost myself in it. I'd be happy with anything drawn for me by the man I love. For an instant, time froze. By the time I realized what I said, my mind had gone blank and I couldn't form a coherent thought. I mean, like family. You're like an older brother to me. I meant love like love for a brother. Hey, say something, Master. Give me your usual exasperated side. Come on now. Come on, give me your best good grief and hurl me out the window. Oh, come on, please. Show me some disappointment. Master. When the wood panel who was used canvas charcoal and tiny cuts to the hard chapel floor, the clattering was so loud I jumped. I didn't have the present mind to wonder why he'd knocked over the canvas, or why his hands appeared to be shaking. Let me help you with that. I stepped toward him, and when I did, and the moonlight shining down upon us intensified, and our gazes of Jade and Ruby intertwined. Giselle's theme. There's a visible rosiness in his ethereal, pale cheeks. New best song. Giselle's theme. Master. Flicker of panic darted beneath the surface of normal stony red eyes. They were trembling as he looked over at me. I was at a loss for words. We must have been under the moon spell. We weren't thinking. We stood alone in frozen world, robbed of all rational thought. Riding the moonlight's current, his hand fell against my cheek. It was much colder than I had expected, but it felt pleasant on my flushed skin. As we drew closer, I could feel the warmth emanating from his body, and I'm sure he could feel mine. The beating of my heart too. His breathing stopped for a moment, then he gulped. He brought his head in. I closed my eyes and... then I shoved him away with all my strength. Michel rolled back, knocking his head on the side of the pew, began groaning pain, which is when I finally realized what I had done. What have you done, Giselle? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Sorry, you startled me. I really truly didn't mean to knock you down. You should go back to your room. I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you tonight. What? Get some rest. Good night. He turned away, marching off into the corridor enshrouded in darkness. There was a heavy air of loneliness hanging over him, which gave rise to the phantom images of him actually disappearing into the darkness. I'd caused that, but I hadn't realized until it was too late. It felt like someone was sitting on my chest. Why would I ever do that to him? Of course I'm going to hurt him reacting like that. Maybe I was hoping he would say it was just one of his jokes. Do I want it to be a joke? I had that option. I could pretend nothing ever happened, and tomorrow would go back to the way things were before. But if I did that, there would almost certainly never be a second chance. You were okay with it. You wanted it, Giselle. Quit lying to yourself. You're the one who said you loved him, and that was no mistake. You wouldn't sit shoulder to shoulder and read books with someone you didn't care for. You wouldn't enjoy eating supper with someone you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to live happily with someone you didn't love. You have to go after him, find him, and tell him the truth. What am I doing, for God's sake? I'm not in my right mind. Something about me was off today. I couldn't control myself. I was saying things that didn't mean, doing things I didn't intend to. I never meant to do that. But at this point, I had no choice but to admit my feelings. I couldn't pretend I didn't know what they were anymore. How long had I felt this way? A week, a month, 6 months, or maybe a full year? Had they already developed when he started on me? No, the wind didn't matter. It didn't change the fact. I was still attracted to her, regardless of when it began. But she pushed me away, quite literally. I sighed at myself. Why should I be disappointed? She was nothing like me. I was reclusive and unsociable, and she was the exact opposite. She was the kind of person who would confidently tell someone how she felt, and she had done exactly that, said I was like a brother. But I hadn't listened. As a matter of fact, could I have been more presumptuous? I don't deserve to love anyone. It's better this way. Hi. Master? What? Master, I need you to listen to me, okay? What? About, what just happened? That doesn't count. You can count that, huh? That I said I loved you, that I subbed you, that they don't count. Right, I was planning to forget that. Don't worry. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is that's not something I should have said on a whim just because the moonlight was kind of pretty tonight. It wasn't supposed to be so casual. The way I said it doesn't get across how much I care about you. I should have been something with more impact, rather. Me looking straight in your eyes, my heart jumping around like it's on fire. That's how I should have said it. What are you... I'm saying I want to give me one more chance to do it right. Giselle, calm yourself. I am calm. In no sense of the word are you calm. Fine then, I'm not calm, but I am clear-headed. I mean every last word. Listen very carefully. I love you. I love you so much it feels my heart's going to explode. What? Huh? You mean like family? Like a brother, right? Romantic love, romantic. What? I wasn't upset back there. I was elated. What? My mind couldn't keep up with what I was hearing. Half out of breath where she stood. Giselle was frantically insisting that she loved me. Was I dreaming? Master. How do you, I would like to hear. How do you feel about me? Assuming I interpreted that correctly. Right, so you were going in for a kiss back then, so I could take the answer? Giselle looked at me with bleary eyes. She had feelings. For me? It was a miracle. I could hardly breathe. It felt like someone had stuck their hands in my chest and was squeezing my heart. I just had to say yes, and a smile would spread across her face. I could bring her joy, and all it took was a single word. I had no reason to say no. My happiness was standing right there in front of me. What more could I ask for? All I had to do was reach out and claim it for myself. I tried to do exactly that in chapel, and I could do it again. I loved her. I was a twisted man cast out the world, left with nothing, and I had no way to make her happy. But still Don't tell me you've forgotten what you are. Tell me. There was no moonlight to give me that nudge. Do not feel the same way about you. What? I got confused for a moment. I apologize for the misunderstanding that seemed to have caused. All the color drained from her like a flower wilting before my eyes. A heavy sigh spilled from her lips. Her jade eyes sweat lifelessly back and forth. I hadn't thought mere love could possibly have such weight, but she looked as though I had told her she was to be executed. I see. I'm sorry. I let it go to my head. Sorry for making such a racket. Really got what I was thinking. I got way ahead of myself there. Her fine energy hurt to watch. I had hurt her, and this was the result. You wanted to protect yourself, even if it meant hurting her. But look where that got you. You would have been better off just going with it. Because when she learned the truth, She would have pushed you anyway. I'm sorry, I'll be going now. Sorry for barging on you like this. She made her way into the shadows toward the door. There, you did it. You preserved your peace. I got the feeling she would never again turn back. Your mistake was ever getting close to anyone. What I had always wanted was right there in front of me, and I was so close to obtaining it. And you pushed her away. I actually did love her. She would never love the real you. No, she couldn't. You're disgusting. I can't believe you actually had the gall to fall for me. Good night, Master. She was leaving. I wanted her here and she was leaving. I simply had to acknowledge my feelings that she would come back. Was I really content to let her go? In my weakness, I mistreated her. I hurt her. I let her go and I was about to lose her. Even though she said she loved me. I felt the same way. Wait, please don't go. Your voice is shaking like a scared child's. What are you hoping to tell her like that? She was different. She was absolutely nothing like anyone in my past. She won't be any different. I decided I could try just one more time. To believe in myself and to believe in someone else. I liked Giselle from the bottom of my heart. You'll regret this. No, I won't. I sincerely love you. The fragrance of roses enveloped me. Her arms wrapped around my chest. We're both imbued with strength and shaking like mad, as though the slightest touch might shatter them. Why didn't you just say that? Said in a quavering, sniffling voice just inches from my ear. I lacked sufficient control over my body or mind to return to her embrace, to run my hands through her hair, gently more than support her weight. I'm sorry. Jerk-bully brute, you don't get to play this off as a joke. I'm truly, sincerely sorry. You've given me two different stories. Tell me, which one's the truth? Were you just confused or do you actually love me? I want to hear you say it again. The truth is I love you. Again, I love you. Without fumbling this time, I love you as I've said several times now. Not good enough again. Have mercy, please. I'm about to die of humiliation. Can I really believe you this time? You're not going to say you were lying again. No, I won't. Then we both feel the same way about each other. Shockingly enough. What's there to be shocked about? I didn't think there was anything likable with me. Oh, you really had something to do about that pessimism? I'll try. I'm in heaven. I'm so happy I could cry. You are all over me. Oh, thank goodness, thank goodness. When you first said no, everything went black. I wasn't sure what I'd do, Mar. I lost all hope. I really, really do feel bad about that. But you had a change of heart. Now you're willing to have me. Yes. And everything I bring with me. That was the idea. Absolutely everything, right? You're pushing that point rather hard. I have a request. It's something I don't think I could ask you at any time but now, while we're in the moment. I'll do anything so long as it's with my ability. Tell me, what is it? Will you look at my naked body? What? More specifically, my scars. You're going to have to see them eventually. In which case I would like that to be now. A year ago I refused to look at her scars. I had been certain I wouldn't be able to accept what they represented. The abuse my father had subjected me to. If possible, I would have preferred to never have time to face that. More than that, anyone needed to know. It was my responsibility. I had to accept reality, not grimace or avert my eyes. I had to face up to what had been done to me. Okay. I couldn't bring myself to look at her. She hesitantly disrobed. The sound of her clothes rustled made me feel as though I was doing something incredibly improper. As much as I tried to feign calm, I was so tense, my joints were practically creaking and my heart felt like I was going to step up. I feel like I'm made of stone. I'm ready. You can turn around. Alright, I'll count to 10. Uh-huh, she's laughing at me. I feel a whole lot better seeing you so nervous. I'm turning around. Okay. Her head was tilted down just enough to keep me from making out her expression, but she couldn't hide the pink flush spreading from her cheeks. It crossed her against her white, but not excessively pale skin, as her jet black hair. Sorry, it's just not anything nice to look at. In what way was this not a pleasant sight? I had never been more entranced by anything in my entire life. She was stunning. I had no measure to compare, but I was certain the sight of any other woman in the world would not have had the same effect on me. I could say as much with confidence, despite having never seen another woman nude. Hypnotized, I couldn't take my eyes off the gentle curves of her body. When I'm more socially inclined, perhaps I could have told her she was pretty, which perhaps would have brought a sheepish smile to her face. And though I wanted to, my throat was dry as dust, and all I could manage to produce was incoherent rasps. Please say something. I'm hideous, aren't I? I'm unclean. You're not hideous. You mean it? I mean it. Why would you think so? Because you are not unclean, not in the slightest. You mean it? I do. Even seeing this? Giselle's eyes slid downward, a trace of fear lurking just beneath the surface. Following the lead, I dropped my gaze to her lower body, and there I saw her scars. Swollen, red, and black gashes, still not healed after more than a year, defiled her white flesh. She had described for me the lines were ready to form letters carved into her skin. So that's why she said I would see them eventually. My instinct told me these were the wounds she'd carry for the rest of her life. I felt nauseous, heartbroken, infuriated, and the fact the person who had done this was out of my reach. At the fact that I could do nothing for her, what went through my father's mind. What did he gain from giving her these wounds? Why did he have to do this to her? Why my father of all people? Giselle was the one with the scars. Giselle was the one in pain. But I felt like someone had shoved a handful of needles into my chest. Dozens of thick metal sticks pierced the walls of my heart. Blood streamed through me like a river. If I didn't force myself to face it, I was liable to run. What was the right thing to say? Was I supposed to tell her? As hard as I thought, I couldn't come up with an answer. All I came up with was intense frustration. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her. That I couldn't give my father a piece of my mind. You're in no way hideous, no matter what marks are left on your body. It took all I had to form that single sentence. Thank goodness, I'm so glad to hear it. When I was down in the village, they said it didn't matter what they did to me because I was already dirty. They made it think I'd reached the point where I was so tainted, anyone could see it. I'm sorry. Why should you apologize? You were frowning really intensely. I thought I might have made you mad. No, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my father, the villagers, at myself. May I touch them? You may. My hands were trembling, but I knew I wouldn't be doing her any favors by hesitating. As soon as my fingertip brushed her skin, she shuddered. Does it hurt? No, there hasn't been pain in some time. I could feel her trembling when I touched her. It didn't seem like it would subside anytime soon. Soon she began whimpering softly. Her lips moved as though she was trying to say something, but the best she managed was a few strained gasps. Tears had begun welling up in her eyes as well. I feel like I'm in heaven right now, but I also kind of hate myself. Hate yourself, but why? Because I can't stop shaking. I am overjoyed to feel your touch, but I can't control my body. I know you're nothing like that, but I can't see flashes of you doing other things on my mind. It kills me that my body won't react the way my heart feels. I was foolish to ever thought these wounds might have healed. Just as scars remained on her body, so too they remained in her heart. Unlike the physical wounds, though, the ones inside her still seemed to be raw and bleeding. She just did such a good job of acting normal that I had begun to think she might have gone past them. Of course not, you blind fool. You shoved me back there because I brought back those memories. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. Why are you apologizing? I should be the one. Do you have any desire to place a curse on him? What? Do you want to curse Antonin? If you so desire, I might be able to make it happen. Cast a curse on him, perhaps even a fatal one. I ignore the fact that he's my father. I don't consider them man family anymore. I want you to be honest with me. If hypothetically such a thing were possible, would you want to curse him? No, I would not want that. Why not? You have every right to take revenge. For what that man, he deserves punishment. He inflicted so much pain on you, you're still shaking more than a year later, and you can just let him get away with it, goodness of your heart? Hypothetically, if you want to curse him, I wouldn't do it even hypothetically. And not out of the goodness of my heart. I'm just a coward. A coward? If curse is real and he were to die by one, then I would never, ever be able to forget. And my resentment for him took his life. That would mean he damaged me so permanently, I was never able to get past it. I don't want that. I want to be able to forget. I'm still shaking out, but one day I want to be able to proclaim proudly that is no longer any control over me. But I appreciate the sentiment. Setting aside your choice of method, you asked out of concern, and that's more than enough for me. A soft smile spread across her lips, but all that inspired me was powerlessness. She was putting on an act. Was the sentiment really more than enough? Of course not. Not when she was trembling so much. But what was I to do? Was I unable to leave this house and helpless against the will of the Bollingers to do? I was incapable of assuaging her pain, wasn't it? Wasn't I? I couldn't do anything. Could I? Before I throw in the towel, I need to take some real time to think. To stop running from the problems. To figure out a real way to give her what she wants. That doesn't involve curses and anger. There has to be something only I can do. Giselle. I took the hand that had been tracing her scars and slid it across her waist. Even now her trembling showed no signs of fading. I will never, the one thing I could do, hurt you again, was to wrap her trembling body in my arms. I want you to be here with me. All I ask for you now is to be at my side. You can be scared, you can query, and please don't apologize, though. Don't feel bad about it. I promise not to turn my head away from the pain. So I ask of you, try not to keep it buried. I have no power or influence. I don't know all the right things to say. I'm a man with nothing to his name. But the one thing I do have is a heartfelt desire to do whatever I can for you. As soon as I tightened my grip around her waist, she lurched forward, throwing her arms around me. Eventually they grew into unfettered sobs. In my bedchambers were enveloped in the sound of weeping. She cried like a little child. The usual strong-willed and cheerful, optimistic Giselle wailed from the depths of her soul. This past year she had constantly been nudging me forward. It was always her leading the way. There had undoubtedly been moments where she'd wanted to cry like this but couldn't. So starting now, I was going to try to support her too. I was sure I'd mess something up. As I had little experience being Karen, I'd probably anger her, probably stress her out, and probably make her cry. But I had found my resolve and I had overcome my hesitations. I was sure I could do it, that I could create a place where she could find peace. I could surely. Giselle didn't stop crying until the sun had begun peeking over the horizon. I had, as I said, not looked away, simply holding her in silence. She decidedly not childlike strength, but she seemed incredibly small in my arms. We felt each other's warmth through my clothes. Between sniffs and sniffles, Giselle softened. One day, I'm certain, I'll be able to, without any hesitation, be properly joined with you. And it will be wonderful. Right now, I still can't control the shaking. But eventually, I want to be able to put my hands on you too. The infection infused each and every word was palpable. Sometime later, she drifted off to sleep exhausted. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that at least tonight she would have pleasant dreams. And that's what we're going to call it for tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us, and if there's anything you want to talk about before we move on and give someone else a rate. Once again, thank you so much. It's always surprised me when people show up for like our this is indeed a brutal installment, but at the core of it, there's something deep and good about what's happening, and I love these two characters so much. Let's give Wife City a raid this time. All right. They're playing Team C5, and maybe that'll be fun. So. Anyway, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing it with me, because this is one of my favorites, and it does so many things that I think are so worthwhile and important. All right. I'm sending you all to Wife City. Thank you so much. Have a good night, y'all. Bye. And that's the raid. All right.